This little boy was stunned to see a strange man's face right in front of him. Just a moment ago, he was still a powerful red dragon, but now he was reborn as a tiny human. The man saw the little boy crying and happily showed him off to his wife. "Honey, look, it seems our son really likes me." He couldn't let himself be insulted like this. If the man was seeking death, he would grant his wish. The little boy's body trembled as he prepared a spell to incinerate the man before him. But to his surprise, what came out was a thick, smelly liquid that dealt 0 damage. The red dragon in the boy's body was still wondering where his magic went when the woman approached. In his eyes, she looked like a demon in human disguise, saying, "Come to mommy." Thunder, such a rustic human name, annoyed the dragon, who was now named Thunder. Doesn't she know who he is? Hidden within this tiny body is the great dragon, the last red dragon of his kind. But Thunder reconsidered. If the heavens had arranged for him to descend as the great red dragon again, this was a golden opportunity for revenge, just like how those humans treated the dragons. Thunder needed a human body to blend in. Then it would be an eye for an eye. He had to make all humans accompany his kind in death. Thinking of his flawless plan, Thunder chuckled gleefully, but his father had a bad feeling. No matter what, he's our child. While the old couple was being affectionate, Thunder only thought of strangling them, but he soon felt sleepy. The human body is indeed weak. In the blink of an eye, Thunder grew up. After being in a human body for a while, Thunder gained a new perspective on humans. The biggest progress was knowing his parents' names. Calling them the long-haired person and the short-haired person was too generic. They were Scarlet and Jack. Compared to other people, Jack and Scarlet were better looking. Scarlet had a gentle and friendly face, while Jack was more muscular than others. The villagers often came to visit them. They even respected them because they were rare adventurers among humans. A couple of men came to thank Jack and Scarlet for saving their lives in the deep forest. They also praised them as a match made in heaven. Thunder crawled over to listen in. Scarlet thought he was hungry and went to make him food. One man praised Thunder for being smart, but he was startled by the red tint in Thunder's hair. Jack didn't suspect his wife at all. He also didn't know why Thunder's hair had started turning red a few days ago. Only Thunder knew that this was probably a sign he still had some red dragon power in this body. The two guests quickly left. They hadn't taken 3 steps out the door before they started whispering. "Do you think the Taylor family is cursed?" "It's possible. Not just any ordinary person can become an adventurer. They always face unforeseen dangers." Thunder also realized that humans seemed wary of his red hair, or perhaps those two felt threatened by him. "Time to eat, my love." Scarlet gently lifted Thunder to the dining table compared to those people. Thunder found these two even more incomprehensible. They never got angry, even though he tested them repeatedly, making a mess all over his face when he ate. Thunder even peed in Jack's mouth while he was sleeping, yet Jack proudly praised him as a genius for learning to pee by himself. Thunder thought to himself, if hell exists, it must be living with these two. Adventurers were already scarce in this world, and Scarlet was a rare type of mage. If Thunder could master the world's strongest magic in the future, his revenge would be much easier. Every child at the age of 2 gets to take a magic aptitude test, and today was that day for Thunder. Scarlet would take Thunder for the test, while Jack stayed home. As the last reincarnated red dragon and the son of 2 adventurers, Thunder was sure he would pass this test with ease. Once he regained his magic, nothing could stop him from reaching the pinnacle of glory, or so he thought. After a long day, Thunder and his mother finally entered the town. It was a gathering point for a transit station, basically the town market. An old man was selling a pile of deep purple crystals. He fawned over customers but kicked and chased away a beggar. Having just left Jack and Scarlet's house for the first time, Thunder was surprised to see humans despising and mocking those weaker than themselves. Previously, Thunder believed it was his duty to protect the weak, so he tried his best, even though he ultimately failed. At night, they arrived at Roland Academy. The line of people stretched into the middle of the street. This crowd excited Thunder as the sound of crying children echoed around, especially the cry of a plain-faced girl named Alice. "It's not fair. On what basis did she pass?" Thunder chuckled softly, thinking what a silly girl. This world has always been unfair like that. Finally, it was Thunder's turn. Both he and Scarlet were nervous. An old man in a deep hood asked Scarlet to place Thunder's hands on the crystal ball. If he had magical talent, the ball would light up and the corresponding lights would reveal his elemental affinity. Thunder was extremely confident. "You humans, open your eyes and witness the power of the great red dragon." There was nothing about magic he didn't know. Thunder heard Scarlet crying behind him. Is she crying because she's amazed by my innate talent? Thunder was startled. Why isn't the ball lighting up? The old man gave his condolences. I regret to inform you, your child has no magical talent. Thunder found this absurd. In his past life, he was the world's greatest dragon. Scarlet also felt something was wrong. After all, she was a mage who had graduated from this academy. Thunder kept hitting the crystal ball. There must be something wrong with it. The old man took the ball back before Thunder broke it. Sorry, young man, I can't help you any further. Thunder spat out his pacifier, ready to fight the old man. Thunder lunged and grabbed the old man's beard, wanting to rip it off his face. Do you have any idea who I am? Why don't I have any magic? This old man must be lying. Thunder jumped on his head and rode him like a horse until the old man had to call the guards, a legendary dragon reincarnated with no magic. This was the most ridiculous thing in his thousands of years of life. Could it be that because he had killed too many humans, the heavens were punishing him? No. If that were the case, the heavens wouldn't have let him be reborn. A thought suddenly flashed in his mind. This must be a trial given to him by the heavens. If he couldn't become a famous mage, then he would have to find another way to get revenge. That day at the dinner table, Thunder asked Jack, teach me how to fight. Jack's face lit up with pride, unable to believe his 2-year-old son wanted to learn swordsmanship. For Thunder, this was the only way to pursue his dream of revenge. Although Thunder always intended to get his revenge, things were not as easy as he imagined. 2 years had passed since he asked to learn swordsmanship. With Jack, but he had never won. However, today things were a little different. When Jack swung his arm back for this move, Thunder was all too familiar with it, having been hit by it many times before. According to his calculations, if he timed his turn right as the sword came down, he could attack Jack's flank. The moment had arrived. Thunder felt victory was within his grasp. But the sword suddenly appeared before him. The sound of a bonk on his head echoed with his inner thoughts. Why is this human body so out of sync with my brain? His clumsy hands always held him back. After some time, Thunder was lying in bed under Scarlet's care while Jack stood aside, laughing gleefully. How can you still laugh? Couldn't you have gone a little easier on him? He's only 4 years old. Faced with Scarlet's scolding, Jack explained with difficulty the night exam is in 1 year. If this keeps up, he won't pass. But Scarlet didn't need him to follow in their footsteps. Besides being an adventurer, there are many other noble jobs. Jack was very confident. He knew Thunder's problem was simply that he couldn't control his body yet. 1 year was enough time for him to improve, but Thunder himself was worried. In a year, he'd have to compete with other brats to enter the Knight Academy. Don't worry, I will definitely make it. Thunder wanted to say that as the successor of the Red Dragon, he couldn't be weak like a human. But of course, he wasn't stupid enough to say that. Thunder was confident his physical strength far surpassed his peers, but the problem was his control. No matter how much he practiced, Thunder's body was still clumsy. His limbs could move independently, but they couldn't coordinate with each other. Jack walked around looking for Thunder, guessing he was in the backyard practicing his swordsmanship. He gave Thunder a real sword. From now on, it will be yours. With your current strength, you can actually use a real sword for training. Thunder was extremely surprised, but Jack whispered that he had another gift in the granary, a magical wooden dummy. It was the latest model used by the Knight Academy for training. New recruits. Sure enough, Thunder didn't believe this wooden dummy was anything special. Jack gestured with his chin for him to try attacking it. As soon as Thunder charged, the wooden dummy activated to level 1. It easily blocked Thunder's attack with its shield. The wooden dummy even knocked Thunder's sword away in just 3 seconds. After that, the wooden dummy returned to its original stance as if nothing had happened. Jack chuckled. See, was I wrong? He guaranteed that if Thunder could defeat this level 1 magical wooden dummy, he could definitely get into the Knight Academy. Jack had to ask someone to bring this wooden dummy back for Thunder. Thunder's eyes lit up. This wooden dummy was like a ray of hope in his bleak sword practice. Given some time, Thunder was sure he would defeat it. Today, Thunder changed his practice spot for a change of scenery to see if he'd make any progress. After practicing for half a day, he lay on the ground frustrated. Damn it, my movements still can't keep up with this weak human body. At this rate, forget about revenge. I don't even know when I'll be able to defeat the wooden dummy. Why do you have to defeat the wooden dummy? A strange voice echoed in the quiet forest, startling Thunder. He immediately grabbed his sword and took a stance. Defensive, his face extremely wary. Who's there? Then suddenly Thunder's eyes widened. In front of him was a blonde-haired girl with an innocent face. She looked just like Little Red Riding Hood, and her voice was as gentle as her appearance. "Are you okay? I didn't mean to startle you. I'm Ami. I live in the nearby village. I just saw you in the forest so late and wanted to remind you to go down the mountain soon." Thunder snorted in embarrassment. "Ah, ha, ha, so that's it. You scared me to death. But is it very dangerous here?" Ami nodded and spoke like a wise old woman. "It's fine here during the day, but at night vicious beasts can appear." Thunder nodded. This girl knows a thing or two. Ami often came here to pick fruits and wild vegetables, so she was quite familiar with the paths in this vast forest. So she decided to lead the way for Thunder. Thunder mumbled about to introduce himself when Ami winked. "You're Thunder, right? You're famous in this village?" Thunder's face immediately fell. It was true he was very famous because of his red hair. Every time Thunder went out with his parents, people would stare at him. To their faces, they would thank Jack and Scarlet for saving them, but behind their backs, they'd gossip that Thunder was cursed. They just hoped they wouldn't get infected. Because no one in this village had ever been born with red hair, it made Thunder seem like a different species, even though they greatly respected his parents. But there was always an invisible fear of Thunder. No one knew where it came from, but in human society, the color red represented evil and great power. It might also be related to how adults used red dragons to scare children. This was ridiculous to Thunder. Humans had clearly wiped out his race, yet they portrayed dragons as the villains in their stories. The dragons' acts of revenge were self-defense, but in the words of humans, it became proof of their cruelty. Thunder was lost in thought, causing Ami to have to call for him to follow. Along the way, Amy's mouth never stopped moving. Knowing Thunder wanted to enter the Night Academy, Ami mentioned her older brother was planning to take the exam too. No one in the village could beat him, but it was hard for commoners like them to learn swordsmanship, so Ami really admired that Thunder was taught by Jack. As night fell, a group blocked Thunder's path led by a blonde youth and two other thugs. "Hey, red-haired kid, get away from my sister." Amy was stunned and stood to protect Thunder behind her, or perhaps to protect her brother from his wrath. "Kyle, what are you doing? He didn't do anything to me." Kyle rushed over to check on Amy while the other two slowly closed in on Thunder. "Why are you with this guy? Let me see if your hair has turned red." The other two were as ugly on the inside as they were on the outside. They even told Thunder to get out of the village. It didn't stop there. The two also brought up Jack and Scarlet. "Giving birth to a cursed child like you must have been hard on your parents. Who knows what terrifying thing they offended? To be cursed like that. I think your whole family should move away soon." Thunder's hands trembled, his anger seemingly uncontrollable. He shouted loudly, "Stand still, since when?" Had Thunder's fist appeared in front of the skinny guy, Kaiho immediately pushed him aside, but even he couldn't block Thunder's punch and was sent flying back. Seeing Kaiho take the hit for the skinny guy, Thunder warned him, "Don't get in my way. I only want to beat up the one who insulted my parents." Kyle shook his hand, which was smoking from Thunder's punch. "I know your parents are adventurers. Your father is a swordsman, so you must have trained a lot, right? If you want to fight, I'm ready." Kyle handed his sword to the other two, saying he didn't want to kill Thunder. Thunder also threw away his sword. "We can attack at the same time, I don't care." The two charged into a brawl. The other two cheered from the sidelines while Ami begged them to stop. Thunder was beaten to a pulp and his coin purse flew into Kyle's hand. Kyle was disappointed with Thunder's skill since he was trained by Jack, a renowned swordsman, while Kyle's father was just an ordinary merchant. "I think you should give up your dreams of being a swordsman. Just do something you're actually good at." These words echoed in Thunder's head until he fell asleep on the grass. Back home, an angry Ami said, "Kyle, that was too much." Kyle, feeling he was in the right, warned Amy to stay away from Thunder from now on, because many people in the village were afraid of Thunder's cursed hair. Their family was just ordinary people, unlike Jack and Scarlet. Ami couldn't argue back and angrily shouted, "I hate you," before punching Kyle on the head. Then she stormed off to her room. As Kyle took off his armor, he noticed it was dented with Thunder's handprint. This was the mark left by Thunder's first punch. Without it, Kyle's arm would have been crippled. That meant Thunder was the real winner of that fight. It was late when Thunder got home. His mother was wondering why he was later than usual. Then her eyes fell on Thunder's injuries. "Oh my God, did you get into a fight?" Thunder shook his head, saying it was from training. With tears in her eyes, Scarlet wiped Thunder's wounds with a cloth. "Don't lie to me. Did some kid bully you? Clean your wounds quickly or they'll leave scars." Thunder turned away, saying a real man needs a few scars to look good. Hearing this, Jack jumped in to encourage Thunder. Thunder has become a real man. Looks like sword training is really tough. Huh, Scarlet immediately blamed Jack. If you hadn't brought that wooden dummy home, Thunder wouldn't be so down in the dumps. Jack sighed. If he wants to get into the Avian Knight Academy, there's no other way. Scarlet trembled with anger. Thunder clearly doesn't have to be like us. He can choose a different career later. But Jack still believed that Thunder was a genius. Even if he can't be a mage, he can be a swordsman. Boom, Scarlet used a fireball, wanting to burn Jack's head off. Meanwhile, Thunder just kept eating as if this happened every day. Although both his parents were adventurers, Thunder didn't inherit any of their talents. If Thunder had become a mage back then, would things be different? Thunder still vividly remembered the old man's face, who said he had no magical talent. Afterwards, Thunder even jumped up and pulled off the old man's beard. Until the day Thunder held his first sword. It was a gift from his father for his 4th birthday. Even if Thunder couldn't be a mage, he could be a swordsman like his father. Back then, Thunder still wanted revenge on humanity, but the two people in front of him were his exception, even if they were a bit childish sometimes. That night, Thunder went back to the granary and activated the level 1 wooden dummy. The wooden dummy only had a few moves, but Thunder had been beaten by them so much he was used to it. He could easily dodge them. Next, Thunder charged forward, attacking head-on, looking for an opening. This is it. As Thunder was about to deliver the final blow, he suddenly tripped on a small rock. His sword strike hit a house pillar instead. Even the wooden dummy was stunned. Thunder looked at the pillar nearly severed, and only 2 words came to mind. I'm screwed. It wasn't over. The wooden dummy finished Thunder off, making him jolt from the pain. Another failed day passed. The next morning, Thunder set out again and stopped his training. A familiar figure made Thunder stop. Ami looked left and right hesitantly. After seeing Thunder, her eyes widened and she gritted her teeth as if suppressing something. In the end, Ami still smiled and waved at Thunder. Thunder realized Ami was waiting for him. Ami hesitantly said, I'm sorry, Thunder, but he didn't hold it against her. Thunder knew it wasn't Ami's fault. I was the one who didn't know my own limits. Hearing Thunder say that, Ami's eyes suddenly filled with tears. Thunder sighed. Humans are so troublesome. What's with all these complex emotions? He took an apple from Amy's basket, accepting her apology. Ami immediately stopped crying. Thunder couldn't understand the sensitivity of humans, their emotions changing in a matter of seconds. They're truly hard to please. That afternoon at Thunder's house, a troop of soldiers stopped in front of their home. A general seemed to have come to ask Jack and Scarlet for help. Several villages on the border had been attacked by something terrible. Although there were no official witness reports, some people had been infected. Currently, most of them are in a coma, so the situation remains unclear. So they wanted Jack to investigate first. Scarlet felt the two of them should go together. Normally, those things don't come near human settlements, so this situation was highly unusual. Jack, however, was very confident, telling Scarlet not to worry, that it was just an investigation. Besides, Thunder needs someone to look after him with the competition approaching. If there's nothing major, I'll be back soon. Scarlet nodded, though she had an indescribable feeling of unease. As dusk fell, Thunder was out of breath in his human body, resting for 5 seconds. Thunder glanced over at Ami, who was sitting peacefully and reading a book. An indescribable feeling welled up inside him. He immediately slapped his face, telling himself to snap out of it. It must be this human body affecting my emotions. That's enough for today. I should head back. After saying that, Thunder walked off. Ami quickly ran ahead, looked left and right, and reported, all clear. I have to make sure no one causes trouble on the way. Thunder never thought he'd see the day he needed a little human girl to protect him. Thunder was curious if Ami wasn't afraid of being judged by others. But to Ami, what other people said was their business. She had her own perspective and didn't care about their stares. So what if his hair was red? It's just a color after all. You shouldn't be shunned for it. So, Thunder, you don't need to care what others think. You have your own path to follow. Thunder was startled, remembering what Kay had said about doing what he was good at. Thunder blamed himself for having forgotten that. Ami, thank you, Thunder said joyfully and ran home. Back home, Thunder immediately rushed to face the level 1 wooden dummy. He held his sword in his mouth, placed his hands on the ground, and mimicked a dragon's body. The thing Thunder was best at was being himself. By some miracle, Thunder leaped up. He passed the wooden dummy's test. Great, this method works. Thunder jumped for joy and happily calculated the days until enrollment. Jack had said that passing the level 1 wooden dummy was enough to pass the Knight Academy's exam. Suddenly, the dummy's cold voice rang out again. Level 2 begin. Thunder's nightmare hadn't even truly begun. At dawn the next day, Thunder woke up to see his father in full armor preparing to set out on his mission. Before leaving, Jack reassured Thunder. "Don't worry, I'll definitely be back before your competition. While your dad is away, remember to train hard. I believe you can definitely defeat it." Ah, that thing. Thunder was about to brag about his achievement to Jack when he was interrupted. It was time for Jack to leave. He told Scarlet to take care of herself and Thunder at home, leaving Thunder feeling like a third wheel. He told himself that when Jack returned, he would give him an even bigger surprise. Thunder wondered what his father's face would look like then. On his way, Thunder thought he should thank Ami for helping him see clearly. But the more he thought about it, the more he felt like a human capable of hope and gratitude. Even though humans were detestable, those three were an exception. With his hands behind his head, Thunder decided that when he took his revenge, he would let those three live. Half the day went by, and Thunder felt a void not having seen Ami at all. Suddenly, Thunder was startled. Why was he waiting for Ami to arrive? Without Ami, there's no one to bother his training. He must have been influenced by these human emotions. So Thunder trained tirelessly until he fell asleep. When he opened his eyes, the sky had turned golden. Thunder jolted awake. If he didn't get home now, his mom would scold him for sure. He ran straight home. He didn't get to thank Amy today, so he decided he would tell her tomorrow. On the way home, a noisy crowd had gathered. Amy's father was talking to the weapon shop owner. "Did you really see my kids?" "Yes, that's right. The owner saw Kale bring 2 other kids to buy weapons early in the morning. Kale even said they were going into the forest to kill magical beasts." Kale's parents' faces turned pale at the mention of magical beasts. The mother of Bob and Gary tearfully questioned the owner why he didn't stop the children, letting them go even after hearing they were going to hunt magical beasts. The owner was just running a business. Who knew those kids would be so reckless? Thunder passed by and overheard the story. He didn't expect karma to strike so fast. Kale and his gang had brought this on themselves. It's just that Ami went with them. Although Thunder had no intention of getting revenge on Ami, it's a shame she has such a foolish brother. Human lives are short, they're bound to die sooner or later anyway. However, on his way back, the image of Ami's bright, sparkling eyes kept flashing in his mind. He didn't understand this uncomfortable feeling. Ignoring his thoughts, Thunder turned around to look for Ami. Thunder still hadn't had the chance to thank Amy for helping him defeat the wooden dummy. He had to go save her right now. Deep in the forest, magical beast corpses were scattered everywhere. Bob and Kyle lay exhausted on the ground. A terrified Ami hid behind Kyle. Though his whole body trembled, Kyle held his sword and stood protectively in front of Ami. However, facing this three-eyed wolf, Kyle could only pray for a miracle. Meanwhile, Thunder's keen sense of smell caught the scent of blood in the forest. Along the forest's edge, he saw the corpses of several young magic wolves scattered on the ground. Their bodies had sword wounds and were still warm. From this, Thunder deduced that the group was nearby. But the footprints were erratic, leaving Thunder unsure of which direction to follow. Suddenly, a terrified scream rang out. Thunder recognized Amy's voice. By then, Kaol had been seriously injured, leaving only a worried and frightened Ami. The magic wolf lunged its fanged jaws open, ready to bite off her little head. Ami hugged her head, praying for someone to save her. A slashing sound rang out as blood splattered across Amy's face. Just in time, Thunder thrust his sword up into the magic wolf's mouth. He struggled to bear its weight, but still managed to ask if Amy was okay. "Ami's fine, but the others are all in bad shape." The magic wolf swiped its paw, knocking Thunder away and tearing his left shoulder. Thunder dug his nails into the ground to steady himself before the wolf could attack again. "Don't worry, I'm not that easy to kill," Thunder said as he dodged, deliberately luring the wolf away from Ami. The creature's powerful jaws easily snapped a thick tree branch. Thunder cursed internally. This human body was too weak to fight an adult magic wolf alone. In the face of its absolute strength, his speed was a joke. If it were his old self, this magic wolf would have already become best-selling barbecue. After running for a bit, Thunder circled back in front of Ami. He growled and yelled, "She's mine! Don't you dare touch her!" The magic wolf paused for about 2 seconds before lunging again. Because it couldn't understand human language, Thunder knew he couldn't hold out much longer. Dodging was just wasting energy. He had to attack. Remembering the wolf's weak point, Thunder lunged and stabbed one of its eyes. He fell to the ground, his strike too weak to do more than just blind it in one eye. If it were his old self, he could have taken its head off in a single strike. Thunder had to rely on his sword again. When the wolf lunged, he saw an opening and severed one of its legs. The massive beast crashed to the ground, the impact sending Ami and Kyle flying. Thunder wanted to rush to catch Ami, but the wolf retaliated with a punch to his gut. Thunder put the sword in his mouth. Forcing me to use all 4 limbs means your time is up. Thunder lunged, using the power of his jaw to slice the wolf in 2 with a single bite. The beast collapsed, and Thunder fell beside it, breathing heavily. Seeing Ami was safe, he heaved a sigh of relief. Suddenly, a light flashed above Thunder's head, putting him on alert. A fat, pig-like dinosaur appeared, confusing him. It opened its mouth. A system notification announced Thunder had received an intermediate magic crystal and a dragon's eye blessing. Thunder didn't understand any of it. He didn't care about this golden pig right now. The more important thing was to get everyone out of here. Otherwise, they would attract more magical beasts. Kyle groggily woke up and recognized Thunder. Thunder told him not to move, not wanting to explain. With Ami unconscious, Thunder could only carry the 2 of them. As for the other 2, there was nothing Thunder could do. Whether they lived or died was up to fate. Outside, the adults with torches made a commotion as they searched, but no one dared to enter. Just then, they saw Thunder dragging himself out. Bringing Amy and Kyle out of the deep forest, someone recognized him as the cursed, shunned, red-haired child. "Help me, they need treatment," Thunder said before collapsing. The others just watched and gossiped, wondering why the kids ran into the deep forest. Bob and Gary's mother pushed through the crowd to find her children, but only the 2 blonde kids were there. She immediately crossed the river bridge to go in. Halfway there, she felt red eyes watching her, so she turned back even faster than she went in. She rushed at Thunder, grabbing his collar with hateful eyes. "Where are my children? They are all good kids. How could they have gone into the forest on their own? Did you deliberately lure my children into the forest?" Saying that, the hag repeatedly slapped Thunder's face, cursing his red hair and calling him a disaster. The others chimed in, making up a story that Thunder had led the children into the forest. Otherwise, how could he be the only one who could bring them out? The adults rushed in, surrounding Thunder and demanding he return their children. That old woman relentlessly beat Thunder. "Why did you only save Amy and Kyle? Where are my sons, Bob and Gary?" Thunder just laughed. "Those 2 are in the forest. If you are so brave, go find them. They are just children. Did you leave them there to die?" At her words, Thunder found it laughable. Had they forgotten that he was also just a child? The hag kept muttering that Thunder was an unforgivable monster, while none of the other adults dared to enter the forest to save the children. Thunder had guessed correctly. Because of his red hair, they did not see him as human and called him a monster. Compared to wild beasts, these people were more vicious. They were the real monsters. Suddenly, she grabbed a torch from someone, her face filled with resentment, and rushed at Thunder. "Die, you red-haired monster!" Thunder smiled, accepting his death, though unwillingly. But this death was easier than the last. Suddenly, Kyle jumped out to block the blow for Thunder. The mother immediately claimed Kyle was being mind-controlled by Thunder, and the other adults actually thought he had gone mad. Kyle could not stand this cowardly and cold-blooded crowd any longer. "Shut up! You are the crazy ones. How can you just decide whether someone lives or dies? Don't touch my savior." The mother blamed everything on Thunder wanting to kill him. Then the scene of armed people trying to take his life. 2 lifetimes, 2 nightmares caused Thunder to jolt awake in fear. He was in his room. Beside him, his mother Scarlet was sleeping, tears rolling down her face as she mumbled his name. Thunder sighed. Humans were blessed with such beauty. Why is their nature so cruel? Thunder gently took Scarlet's hand. She woke up overjoyed. "Oh my God, Thunder, am I dreaming? You are finally awake. I thought you would never wake up again." His mother hugged Thunder, making him scream in pain. Scarlet chided, "So you do feel pain. Do not be so reckless again." Thunder had been in bed for a full week. Scarlet cried tears of joy. If he had not woken up, she would not know how to face his father. Thunder hesitantly asked about the other children. Amy and Kyle were only lightly injured, but Bob and Gary still have not been found. It is feared they are dead. Earlier, Kyle tried to explain, but no one listened. They just said he must have been bewitched by Thunder. At that moment, Scarlet rushed over in a panic. Seeing Thunder unconscious, her face darkened. "Who did this?" The others chimed in, telling her not to get worked up, that her son had manipulated them. He has to take responsibility for the children going into the deep forest. As a mother, if your child were missing, you would understand how we feel now. Scarlet hugged Thunder, staring at Bob and Gary's mother. The woman dropped her torch and wailed, "My poor children, cannot anyone save them?" The crowd gathered to comfort her, muttering about what they would do in the coming days. If it were me, I would stay far away from this cursed place. Scarlet ignored them, carried Thunder home, and stroked his head, comforting him. It is all over now. You do not have to blame yourself. It is not your fault. You did a great job. Scarlet guessed Thunder must be hungry, so she went to make him some food. Thunder nodded, then looked up at the ceiling. He stared at the strange thing in front of him. Thunder wondered if everyone had one. Thunder lightly touched the dragon's eye. Suddenly his own pupils changed, and he even regained his former power. Looking at Scarlet, he could see her state of exhaustion. Back when he was a great red dragon, Thunder possessed countless spells. After leaving the Magic Academy, he thought he was beyond saving. Now, although he had to regain them one by one at least, he still had hope. Next up was that purple crystal. Perhaps it was from defeating the mid-level dire wolf. Suddenly, thick smoke filled Thunder's room as people below shouted, "Fire, fire." Scarlet ran in, pulled Thunder away, and used water magic on the nearby flames. In an instant, Thunder used his dragon's eye and saw the culprit was that wretched old hag. When the people nearby saw it was Thunder's house on fire, they just stood around watching. Meanwhile, Scarlet gave her all to put out the fire and finally succeeded. It is the curse again if he continues to stay here. The whole village will be destroyed sooner or later. Despite their attitude, Scarlet smiled and asked Thunder, "Are you all right?" Thunder shook his head and praised his mother, saying she was amazing for putting out the fire so quickly. They held hands and went inside. Thunder was certain those people had hoped they would burn to death. He would definitely avenge this. The next day, Thunder went to the edge of the forest to train. Using his dragon eye to analyze, he only saw small, magical beasts, no vicious ones. A magic monkey was enjoying its last breakfast. Because a second later, it was run through by Thunder's sword, dying with 2 apple slices in its stomach. This was the 20th magic monkey he had defeated, just enough to meet his daily quota. But this time, Thunder only received 2 novice crystals. It seemed that getting them also depended on luck, and their effects were still unclear. Just then, a dire wolf cub approached its mother's body, which Thunder had just slain. Thunder frowned and got closer to comfort it. "You can fight independently in the future." The wolf cub backed away warily. The system then offered an opportunity to tame it with just 1 novice crystal. Since it was a new feature, Thunder decided to try it, having done enough killing for the day. The crystal released black smoke that enveloped the wolf cub. A moment later, the taming was successful. After being tamed, it immediately entered Thunder's body, causing him to panic. "Are there any side effects? Can it be summoned? If not, I will make meat out of you." The system shook its head. It had to reward Thunder to avoid being butchered. A bit faster, and Thunder would get a new skill, but he was not in the mood for it now. Using his eye, he discovered the whereabouts of Bob and Gary. The corner of Thunder's mouth curled into a sinister smile. "Found you." Thunder entered a cold, dark cave filled with human and animal bones. Bob and Gary had been eaten clean with only bones and organs left. Thunder collected their clothes. He then put them in the container of red liquid and brought it home. That night, Scarlet nagged him for being out all day without rest. Thunder said he wanted to go to sleep. He would train again tomorrow. Scarlet sighed. "Your father will be back in 2 days." "He will train with you then." Thunder jumped up and kicked off his blanket, wanting to train to show his results to Jack. Scarlet yelled, "Get under the covers and go to sleep now." Thunder immediately obeyed. Humans really are scary. That night, Thunder woke up and went to the warehouse where the container was. At Bob and Gary's house, there was a knock on the door. Their mother went down, annoyed. "Who is it at this hour?" "Stop knocking." Suddenly, she thought it might be Bob and Gary returning. With a bewildered face, she asked, "Is that you, my sons?" In the yard lay a patch of Gary's shirt. The old woman followed the footprints deep into the forest. Although she was eager to find her sons, a chill ran down her spine. After a while, she wanted to turn back, but then she saw a piece of Bob's pants nearby. She immediately started running like crazy. Meanwhile, Thunder sat up high, using his dragon eye to confirm she had entered the center of a beast pack, then released 2 containers of fresh blood down on her. She screamed, "Who is it who did this?" Thunder dropped down from the tree. The old hag grew even more venomous. "I knew it! You truly are a bad omen incarnate. Give me back my sons!" As she lunged, numerous glowing red eyes in the bushes made her freeze. She was surrounded. A blood-curdling scream echoed. Thunder stood still with wide eyes, watching his revenge unfold. The next day, the whole village heard the news. People in the market whispered that they should never mess with Thunder's family again. Just then, Thunder passed by. A few men sweating put on a fake smile. Good morning. Are you off to train again? Thunder indifferently walked away, leaving the men to sigh in relief. It seemed new rumors were already spreading. But this time, Thunder liked it. Returning home, he saw horses in the yard. He ran inside excitedly. Is Dad back? The room was filled with a gloomy atmosphere, with Scarlet crying by the bed. Thunder rushed over in shock. Jack was lying on the bed, his body shriveled and covered in spreading bruises. The people with him said he was infected. Scarlet told herself that Jack would surely recover. Thunder checked Jack's condition. He had never seen anything like this before, not even as a red dragon. Suddenly, Jack opened his mouth and whispered, "The darkness will kill everyone. The darkness." The darkness. According to them, Jack was attacked by a shadow beast while protecting a citizen and contracted the shadow plague. Thunder had never seen anything like it. When on Earth did it appear? What happened to this world after he died? After the soldiers left, Thunder was lost in thought. Perhaps his high-level magic could help Jack. It could dispel all dark magic and curses. But he didn't know how to get it back. If he relied on killing evil beasts for rewards, he would have to kill higher-level ones, but he was too weak now. Thunder asked Scarlet if he would become stronger by joining the Night Academy. Realizing Thunder's intentions, Scarlet felt a pang of sadness, but still managed to smile. Of course, that's where your father studied. You will become as strong as him. Thunder immediately declared he would get in to find a cure for Jack. Scarlet hugged him tightly, feeling somewhat comforted by him. You definitely can. I believe in you. Meanwhile, in a secret room, a group in black cloaks discussed a prophecy with Thunder at its center. They didn't know if Thunder came for redemption or disaster, but they had to find him quickly. If he seeks redemption, we will guide him. But if he is a disaster, destroy him immediately. A few days later, the streets were lavishly decorated as people eagerly lined up to welcome someone. A procession of carriages led by knights appeared with fireworks going off wherever they went. The cheers were deafening. They're here! The handsome blonde knight with an idol-like aura captured the hearts of all the young girls. Their reputation is well-deserved. The exam is only once a year, so this is our only chance to see them. After arriving at the academy, the leader planted his sword and began his introduction. I am Knight Winford of Pharos Academy. Beside me are the familiar knights Denbert and Bernardo. Today we will test all the 5-year-old boys applying to the academy. Among the 5-year-olds, Thunder kept his face covered to avoid trouble. Winford introduced a sword-wielding wooden puppet and officially began the test. The first contestant stepped up. He told himself it was just a normal wooden puppet and that he could surely beat it. In the stands, his parents cheered wildly, being their son's biggest fans. Less than a second later, the boy was sent flying. Obviously, he failed. Thunder observed quietly. It was just as Jack said, they used wooden puppets for the test. The puppet didn't move, but its defensive speed could even defeat an adult. Whispers reached Thunder's ears even from such a distance. He could hear them, thanks to those crystals. Winford was talking about their mission, while Denbert believed that knights should come from nobility and these filthy commoners were just wasting their time. So far, only Kyle had passed. Wiping his sweat, he gave Thunder a thumbs up. Winford immediately recognized the red-haired child as Thunder took off his hood. He stepped forward amidst the crowd's murmurs. How can that harmful monster have the abilities of a knight? Suddenly, Denbert approached the puppet. He didn't believe the prophecy. If the rumors were true, Thunder would have to pass this test. Denbert activated the level 3 puppet. It rushed towards Thunder. Both Winford and Bernardo shouted for Thunder to be careful as he just stood there frozen. Anxious Winford was about to draw his sword, but in a flash, everyone was stunned. The entire audience held its breath as the puppet's head fell to the ground, defeated by Thunder with just a wooden sword. Bernardo immediately announced that Thunder passed. Thunder calmly walked off, earning Kyle's admiration and his mother's pride. Before leaving, he went to say goodbye to Jack. He knew Jack probably couldn't hear him, but still told him not to worry, promising to find a cure. Scarlet gave Thunder a necklace. It was their family's heirloom. She hoped it would protect him and bring him luck. Thunder nodded and left. He told Scarlet not to worry, saying he was a grown-up now. Scarlet sobbed, watching her little boy leave with a heavy burden on his shoulders. At the edge of the forest, Winford was waiting. Get in, your friend is already waiting inside. Thunder got into the carriage. He looked awkward when he saw Kyle. It really was him. Along the way, Kyle tried to break the awkward silence. Seeing Thunder turn, Kyle lowered his head and spoke softly. About that time, when I hit you and said those awful things? I'm sorry I was a fool. Thunder didn't hold it against him. After all, Kyle was only 5. Besides, he had saved him before. Kyle mumbled, "You say that as if you're not 5 years old, too." Thunder changed the subject by asking where Ami was. It turned out she had already left for Roland Academy today. Thunder had no idea Ami was a gifted magic user, let alone that she was joining Roland Academy. The carriage stopped. At some point, a thick fog had enveloped the forest outside. Winford called out into the distance. "Who's there? This is the Pharos Academy nightly order. Identify yourself." A girl emerged from the fog saying she was Anne Woodward, an adventurer from the Wuzong Guild. After a few steps, she collapsed. Our party was attacked by shadow beasts. Bernardo was alarmed. Why would shadow beasts be here? There are no tracks on the road. Denbert smirked, thinking the beasts must have sensed him and fled in terror. Winford offered Anne a ride to the town of Rennie. Kyle asked curiously, "Aren't we going to the Night Academy?" Denbert scoffed. "Don't be silly. What use would you brats be on the front lines? Pharos Night Academy is a castle on the border where war could break out at any time, so new students train in the town of Rennie for 10 years. Only after mastering the basics can you go to the academy for advanced training." Thunder was stunned to hear the number 10 years. For a dragon, that's just the blink of an eye. But not for humans. Can Jack wait safely for 10 years? On the way, Kyle was nervous about that girl's guild. Only she survived. And Thunder's father was also attacked by a shadow beast. Bernardo sounded worried, wondering what they would do if they encountered one. "Speak of the devil." Winford ordered everyone into combat formation. A pack of shadow beasts appeared from the purple fog, seemingly waiting for them. That's a bear king. A bear king is terrifying enough. On top of that, it's a shadow beast that carries a plague. This alone was a heavy blow to the knight's morale. The bear king roared and its minions charged. Focused on the front, they didn't see a goblin leap from the bushes to attack Bernardo. Bernardo thought to himself, "This is it for me." Instantly, Thunder appeared and finished the beast in 3 strikes. Bernardo praised him, thinking it seemed he no longer needed to protect the boys. As Thunder saved, Bernardo Denbert fought off beasts, wondering why the Bear King stood motionless as if waiting for something. Just then, Kyle was surrounded by 2 beasts. As one clawed his back, Thunder rushed in and defeated it, warning Kyle to be careful as these smaller bears were stronger than they looked. The Bear King then let out a roar that sent several knights flying. Its eyes turned blood red and it raised a paw as if pointing at something. But it remained still. Suddenly, the Bear King spoke. "You can wait forever, but you cannot attack the darkness. In the end, the darkness will consume this continent. You are all doomed to fail. Everyone by your side will die." Those words struck Thunder's heart. Denbert didn't understand what it meant or who it was aimed at. After making its threat, the Bear King leaped into the sky and flew away. Winford breathed a sigh of relief. They were lucky the leader chose not to fight, or they might not have made it back to town. Thunder kept replaying the Bear King's words. It felt as if it had been speaking directly to him. Winford praised Thunder and Kyle's performance, saying they had the potential to become knights. Thunder then asked if talking evil beasts appeared often. Winford shook his head. He had never encountered one on the border before. In fact, it was the first one he had ever seen. Winford watched, puzzled by how calm Thunder was. Meanwhile, Denbert was also watching Thunder. He gritted his teeth, glaring at Thunder with hatred. The next day, they finally reached Rennie. There were unusually more guards at the gate. It turned out the king had issued the White Tiger level alert. All cities and towns were now under heavy guard. Winford didn't realize the situation was so dire. He glanced at Thunder, thinking this continent is threatened. Could this boy truly be humanity's redeemer? Meanwhile, Thunder gazed at the huge fortress ahead. The path he was walking was only just beginning. He hoped his father could wait for the day he returned. 15 years later, Rennie Town had taken on a new look. Beneath a clear blue sky, a solemn church appeared. Inside, a class was in session and a female lecturer was passionately teaching at the board. "Most knights don't know how to use magic, but they possess a different kind of power. Can anyone tell me what that power is?" A hand shot up boldly. The lecturer called on Kyle. Hearing his name, Kyle stood up, looked at his own hand, and confidently answered, "It's aura. By training with aura, you can enhance your physical functions, sharpen your senses, and even temporarily break human limitations." The female lecturer was very pleased with the answer. She praised very good. "It seems you've all prepared well." She moved on to the next question. So who can tell me why you have to wait until you're 15? To start training with your aura. The teacher suddenly called a name, Thunder, but Thunder had already slipped away. Kyle lowered his head, breaking into a cold sweat and thinking, oh no, where did Thunder go this time? Then Kyle quickly stood up and made an excuse for Thunder. He went to the restroom, ma'am. The teacher turned away helplessly. All right, then, she called on another student. Slavia, why don't you give it a try? Seeing he'd gotten away with it, Kyle, sitting a row away, finally dared to breathe a sigh of relief. Slavia stood up and answered, because aura training puts a tremendous strain on the body. A 15-year-old's internal organs are just mature enough that starting to train won't cause any harm. Very good, Slavia, the lecturer praised cheerfully, though her eyes were staring at Thunder's empty seat. The lecturer's voice continued to echo in the classroom. Class, as we've just discussed, all of you are about to begin your training. I hope you remember everything you've learned here. It will probably be helpful when you apply it in the real world. Meanwhile, in a lush green forest, a small wolf faced a giant wild beast. Suddenly, a voice from behind shouted, "Go, Nova!" Nova immediately pounced on the wild boar. Despite its small size, its speed was incredible. Nova leaped high, its 3 eyes opened wide, and it unleashed a flurry of scratches on the large beast. Under the attack, the giant creature tumbled down. Nova's master happily tapped a screen as a system voice chimed repeatedly, received a low-grade demonic beast crystal. Accept. Below the notification, the words accept and decline appeared. The young man let out a small cry. In his hand was a small, sparkling object. Low-grade demonic beast crystal, all energy absorbed. Once done, the red-haired youth lovingly scratched Nova's chin. You did a great job, little guy, he praised. The young man then stood up, a faint purple aura emanating from him. He mumbled, that's enough for today. If I'm any later, someone's going to lose their mind. Under the warm sun, a group of knights approached the red-haired youth. The lead knight spoke. So this is what you call an unexpected incident, huh? I was wondering who the first person I'd see upon returning would be. Winford looked at the young man. Though his words were scolding, his eyes held a hint of admiration. You're quite the brat. Even with such tight security, you still managed to sneak out. Hearing the voice, the young man turned his head, revealing his face completely. It was Thunder. As old acquaintances reunited, the two began to chat happily. It's been 15 years. You've grown a lot. Winford gripped the horse's reins as Thunder walked beside him. Thunder raised a hand and said, and you look exactly the same. 15 years and not a single new wrinkle. I can't even guess your age anymore. Winford suddenly burst out laughing. That's a secret. Your tutor told me you've been sneaking out to hunt demonic beasts a lot lately. Seeing Thunder cheerfully teasing him, Winford guessed, looks like you had a good haul today. Thunder walked ahead and proudly proclaimed, that's right. If the White Tiger martial law hadn't been relaxed recently, it would have been much harder for me to sneak out. Thunder clasped his hands behind his head and closed his eyes. But compared to sitting in class, I much prefer being out here. Hearing this, Winford kindly reminded him, you should consider yourself lucky you didn't stray too far. If the outer guards had caught you, they wouldn't have been so lenient. Suddenly, Winford's expression grew serious. He said hesitantly, by the way, Thunder, I stopped by your house before coming here. Hearing Winford mention his family, Thunder suddenly stopped in his tracks. Seeing this, Winford came over and placed a hand on his shoulder, reassuring him. Your father's condition hasn't gotten any worse. Your mother is taking great care of him. She asked me to tell you not to worry. Thunder tried to hold back his emotions. He turned his head, his eyes full of gratitude. Thank you. Then Thunder lowered his head slightly, trying to hide the worry in his eyes. Thunder thought to himself, for 15 years through rain or shine, I have trained diligently. That's right. He always trained passionately in a variety of skills, but the results were not what he hoped for. He hadn't awakened any new skills at all. Everything was just like it was at the start. Nothing had changed. From behind, Winford gently put an arm around Thunder's shoulders and looked ahead enthusiastically. Let's go. Let's head back to town. Pull yourself together. Tomorrow we leave for the Farath Apartments Academy. The two walked side by side. Winford said cheerfully, I've been waiting for this day for a long time, waiting to go and pick up the other kids. Thunder quietly agreed. The scene shifts back to Rennie Town, where rolling green mountains give way to tall buildings. In a wide hallway, someone was loudly arguing with a guard. What do you mean you don't know? The guard replied. The White Tiger martial law has been relaxed. We had no reason to stop him. He's just a kid. Where could he possibly go? Aaron flew into a rage, grabbing the guard's armor. He hissed, "How many times have I told you? That kid isn't like the others. You have to keep a close eye on him at all times." The guard replied guiltily, "Yes, sir." Luckily, Winford and Thunder arrived just in time. "Aaron, stop this nonsense." Recognizing Winford's voice, Aaron turned his head without changing his stance. "Winford, you're here too." Aaron's gaze quickly fell on Thunder, and he immediately lunged at him. Aaron scolded him while giving him a hard knock on the head. "Where did you run off to, you idiot? I told you not to leave my sight. How many times have you skipped class to sneak out this month, huh?" Winford stood behind them, not interfering, and even nodded. A disobedient kid needs to be disciplined. All Thunder could do was cry out, owl-faced with Aaron's rage. Thunder quickly ran to hide behind Winford. The White Tiger martial law was lifted over a month ago. "It's perfectly normal to go outside. You're just being too strict, Sir Aaron." Enraged, Aaron tried to lunge at him. Still making excuses, the two went on arguing. Thunder had his own reasons as well. Besides, "I'm leaving soon anyway, so you'll have more peace and quiet later, Sir Aaron." But Aaron, of course, wouldn't hear it. "I don't care. As long as you're still my student. Even if it's just for one more day, you're not to skip class." Poor Winford was stuck in the middle trying to mediate. "Oh, come on, let it go. Listen to me. Both of you just back down a little." Meanwhile, at the Rennie Town Square, the most grand and solemn place in this beautiful town. From high above the square, the signal to assemble suddenly blared out. All students moved to the square immediately. A chaotic crowd quickly poured into the square, preparing for an emergency assembly. Merging into the crowd, Kyle finally found Thunder, who now had 2 lumps on his head. He winced. "You're back so soon. Did you get caught?" Thunder sighed softly. "Just bad luck." Ahead of them was Slavia, her cheeks flushing slightly as she saw Thunder return. But back to the matter at hand, a knight stood on a high platform holding a scroll. He announced loudly, "I am Winter Lacey. Starting tomorrow, I will lead you all on your journey to the Farroth Apartments Academy." As he spoke, Winter's expression turned serious. He said authoritatively, "The journey will take about 7 days. If you don't want any unfortunate incidents to occur, you must follow my commands for the entire trip. Is that understood?" As he finished speaking, the students' voices echoed across the square. Understood backstage, a knight asked Lord Winford, "Has the route for this trip been decided yet?" He already had a plan and answered swiftly, "We'll take the swamp route." The knight's face showed clear astonishment. He asked in a panic, "The swamp, isn't that a bit too much for these children?" But Winford remained calm. He crossed his arms, a look of anticipation in his eyes. If they want to become knights, they have to face trials, don't they? As he spoke, Winford's gaze swept across the faces of the students. "Besides, we have Ian, the one everyone's been talking about. Wow, which class is he from? So impressive." Then Winford looked over at the twin brothers, lazy and joyous, his voice still even. This challenge has caught Winford's attention. Next was Kyozi's excited face. Winford slowly said, "It's not just them who came here." Winford didn't continue. His gaze focused on Thunder and his friends. Time passed quickly until the next morning. In the town of Rennie, at the city gate, carriages were already lined up. Inside a carriage, Thunder was taking the chance to doze off a line of drool running from his mouth. In the same carriage with Thunder were a few other students. Kyo was discussing with a few others, saying, "Hey guys, why don't we just use a transporter? Can't we just use a transporter to get directly to the other side?" Another person chimed in, "That's right, doing it that way would clearly save a whole lot of travel time." Someone sitting in the middle spoke up scornfully, "You bunch of idiots. Of course Farrow Apartments Academy doesn't have a transporter." Hearing this, Kyo retorted, "Didn't we say we're supposed to be on par with Johnson Academy? Johnson Academy has one. Are you telling me we can't afford one?" Just then, from the back of the carriage came a girl's laugh. She spoke up, "It seems none of you were paying attention in class." Slavia proudly brushed back her hair, holding a small notebook as she educated them. Farrow's Apartments Academy is located on the border. We not only have to fight off invasions from outside enemies, but also fend off dark beasts, if a transporter were installed in such a place. If the academy ever fell, the enemy could teleport into our country at any time. Kyo exclaimed in surprise there was a lecture on this. Tan placed a finger on his chin and replied awkwardly, "Now that you mention it, I think I have a vague memory of it." Slavia discreetly glanced at Thunder, then shyly looked away. Kyle thought to himself, confused, "I think she just looked this way. Or am I just imagining things?" The daylight gradually gave way to the colors of dusk. The group had reached the desolate area near Witter Castle and quickly found a clearing. Then he spoke with authority, "Get out of the carriages and set up camp." After getting out, Thunder's group also spread out to work. Keel whispered in his ear, "Thunder, why do I get the feeling that Slavia keeps looking at you, looking at me?" Thunder immediately denied it. "What's there to look at?" But the clever Keel didn't think so. He urged Thunder, "If you don't believe me, turn around and look." So the two of them curiously glanced back. Slavia, having been caught, quickly turned her face away. Her friend beside her asked startled, "What's wrong?" She was a bit flustered. "It's nothing." Seeing Slavia's reaction, Kaleo smugly exclaimed, "See." But Thunder was even more curious. "Could it be because of my red hair?" Kaleo argued back. "Come on, this isn't the first time we've been here. Besides, you're not the only one with red hair." Keo was right because the twins also had red hair. But they were busy playing. Joyous was admiring a butterfly he had just caught and asked his younger brother, "Aren't you going to help?" Lazy replied curtly, "I'm lazy." On the other side, Ian, with the same fiery red hair, was diligently carrying wood to help everyone. A friend with him looked on with delight. "Thanks." Ian replied cheerfully, "No problem, I've got plenty of energy." The friend silently admired him. "Those muscles of yours are really impressive." Some other students were gathered around chatting. They talked a lot, but mostly about nonsense. At that moment, Keo, who had a red buzz cut, was flexing his strong arm in front of his friends. He boasted, "Let's see who can set up camp faster, or are you guys already chickening out?" After a moment, Thunder looked at himself again. He nodded and said, "That's true, but it doesn't matter." Hearing this, Keo was intrigued and acted mysterious. "Are you sure it doesn't matter? Slavia, she's a great beauty. Don't you want to?" Thunder cut him off, "No." At the same time, Tan had separated from the group. He went behind the ruins near the castle. Tan urged the person behind him, "Manch, hurry up over here." Manch tried to stop Tan sneaking out like this isn't a good idea. Suddenly, they both covered their noses. Manch complained, "Oh God, what is that smell? It's so gross. Even a dead rat doesn't smell this bad." The two of them stared at the murky pool of water in front of them. Tan felt a bit sick. "Look at that slimy stuff. You can't even tell where the shore is. What is this stuff anyway?" Manch guessed looks like a swamp. A cold voice answered him. Water was approaching with a grim expression. "That's right, it's a swamp." The other two immediately broke into a cold sweat. Water looked very angry. He put on a fierce face and warned in a low voice, "If you don't want to doze off on the road tomorrow and get your legs bitten off by spine worms, I suggest you hurry back to your tents and go to sleep." As soon as he finished, Munch and Tan didn't dare to stay any longer. They replied in unison, "Yes, sir." By now, the sky had turned completely dark. Almost everyone was fast asleep. Only a few soldiers were taking turns on guard duty in the castle's high tower. While one guard was distracted, a dark figure quickly leaped past. It turned out to be a Thunder. He hid at the base of the castle and thought to himself, "Good. Luckily, I scouted this place out during dinner time, escaping from. Here won't require too much effort to avoid the gate guards." While he was feeling pleased with his plan, a hand suddenly reached out from the darkness and grabbed Thunder's arm. Slavia looked at him timidly. "Thunder, where are you going so late?" Thunder answered curtly, "Hunting dark beasts." Hearing him say that, Slavia exclaimed in shock, "Hunting dark beasts? Are you crazy?" But Thunder refused to turn back. Slavia continued to persuade him, "This isn't the area near Rennie Town anymore. What if you run into an intermediate-level dark beast? Even the knights won't be able to save you in time." Seeing that Slavia still wouldn't let go of his arm, Thunder coldly shook her hand off and quickly walked away. "Don't worry. Intermediate-level dark beasts are no problem for me." Slavia was slightly startled. "How?" Seeing Thunder walk away decisively, Slavia sadly rubbed her wrist, thinking to herself, "Thunder. That guy." The night passed quickly. At the crack of dawn, the knights came to the tents, shouting, "Time to get up, you lazy worms, get up!" Their voices grew louder. "The last one up gets punished." Awakened, Kaol slowly opened his eyes. He lazily hugged his pillow and looked beside him. Lying next to Kaol was Thunder. He looked especially strange today, with dark circles under his eyes and red swollen eyes as big as 2 balls. This sight made the still drowsy Kaol wake up instantly. He shot up in alarm. "You scared me to death. What's wrong with you? Did you not sleep well last night?" But Thunder, looking exhausted as if he'd been up all night, lied, "No, I slept very well." Kaol thought to himself, "Who are you kidding? Who would believe you?" Then Kyle quickly moved on from the topic. He got dressed and went outside. Before leaving, Kyle reminded him, "Get up quickly. I don't want to be punished in front of so many people, but Thunder just lay there. He happily looked at the system screen. This is great. At this rate, my primary crystals will be full before we reach Pharaoh Apartments Academy. Thunder glanced at his and Nova's experience bars. He thought with satisfaction next. I might even be able to collect intermediate crystals. After breakfast, the Academy's convoy continued on its way. They followed a large, fairly flat dirt road. Suddenly, Winford, who was leading the group, reined in his horse. The horse neighed and came to a halt. Winford looked back at Witter, who received his signal and nodded in response. Then the entire convoy slowly moved forward while the soldiers had their horses fall back to provide cover. The carriages slowly entered a rugged area. The terrain here was treacherous and difficult to navigate. No matter how much the carriage shook, Thunder slept soundly. Kyle, on the other hand, was a little anxious. It seems a bit too quiet outside. This didn't feel right to Kyle. The horse, which had been walking normally, suddenly reared up in pain. The loud noise woke the soundly sleeping Thunder. He opened his eyes wide with vigilance. Opposite Thunder's spot outside the window, a grotesque spine worm poked its head in above Tan. Luckily, Kai had already drawn his sword. He decisively sliced the spine worm in two, but Kai knew the danger wasn't over. He quickly got into a fighting stance and shouted, "Spine worms, prepare to fight." Just as Kai had predicted, another spine worm charged into the carriage. Serena was so scared she shut her eyes tightly. Fortunately, Kai jumped in front of her to protect her. Careful. The spine worm was chopped into pieces and lay scattered on the carriage floor. Serena trembled. So much blood, so much blood. Kyo, still holding his sword high, cautiously warned his teammates spine worms attack in groups when they appear. There are more and more of them. Stay alert. Don't stay in the carriage. Tan, holding his weapon, quickly replied, "Got it. Let's wipe them out." Then Kaol was the first to jump out of the carriage. He continued to command everyone. Groups of 3 back-to-back. Don't leave any openings in your defense. Move to open ground to deal with them. Following Kaol's command, the students jumped out of the carriages one by one. Kyo, who was last, was the most excited. "Charge! Let's see who can kill more worms." Only Thunder remained standing still. A moment later, he slowly pulled back the carriage curtain. Thunder activated his dragon eye model while thinking, aren't they getting a little too carried away? Outside, a fierce battle is raging. Screams mix with the clash of weapons. Be careful. There are too many of them. I've already killed 32. Calmly, Thunder scanned the area with his dragon eyes. They're all low-level evil beasts. Nothing to worry about. Suddenly, Thunder felt a chill run down his spine. He cautiously looked to the side. Thunder's gaze fell upon several figures on the ridge above. He quickly realized they were the 6 knights who had left the convoy. So that's what this is about. With that thought, Thunder decisively turned and climbed back into the vehicle. Tan looked at him confused. "Hey, where are you going?" "Don't break the formation." Thunder calmly covered his mouth with his hand, yawning as he explained languidly, "They're all low-level beasts. You don't need my help. Besides, you have just enough people, don't you?" With that, Thunder slipped into the vehicle, flopped onto the floor, and called out, "I'm going to sleep." Meanwhile, the knights were observing from the mountaintop. Winter watched in disappointment. "Looks like he'll only be getting a red belt," another knight added. "He's probably just scared." A knight on the left suddenly shouted, "Look over here, this kid's performance isn't bad. He's decisive and his strikes are accurate." The knight's gazes all focused on Kale. "He's performing quite well. His movements aren't too wide, showing he's conscious of self-preservation and conserving energy." Dante praised with satisfaction, "Not bad at all. He should probably get a white belt." Winford quickly spotted another potential talent. And that other kid, while she rarely initiates an attack, her damage output is high. Her sword stance is also textbook perfect. The one he's referring to is Slavia. She has her back to Serena, creating a defensive and offensive posture amidst the surrounding spiderworms. Slavia's gaze was unusually calm. She swung her sword powerfully, slicing the spiderworms to pieces. Winford, observing from above, was quite pleased. She strikes the moment she finds an opening, and she acts with caution. She's a thoughtful child. Even Winter had to praise Slavia. That's right, she didn't even get her clothes dirty. Just as the battle was about to end, a strange and ferocious creature suddenly burst out from the ground. Everyone stared at each other in shock. "What is that?" As the cloud of dust and smoke gradually cleared, a giant figure slowly emerged. Seeing it, the group who had been fighting fiercely suddenly trembled and backed away. Those spike worms. They're gathering together into a giant mass, so terrifying. Oh my God. Then the spike worm bared its sharp fangs. It lunged towards a male student who was so scared his legs gave out. Even his cry for help was fragmented. "Help me!" Hearing his friends scream, Ian bravely charged straight towards the spike worm. Ian frantically tore the spike worms apart with his bare hands, shouting, "Don't you dare harm my friend!" The twin brothers Joyous and Lazy also charged forward. They continuously attacked the giant spike worm with their swords. Meanwhile, Kale was as energetic as ever, slashing powerfully while counting 45. "Come on, bring it on." Dante, who had been a bit worried before, now smiled faintly. "It seems we don't need to step in. The potential of these red-haired kids isn't bad." Hearing this, the knight beside him laughed and added, "Except for one of them." At this point, Winter stepped forward and whispered to Winford, "It's about time to wrap this up." Not long after the battle was finally over, Ian looked at Lahan with concern. "Is everyone all right?" "I'm fine." He looked a bit disheveled, but he was fine. "Thank you. I was lucky to have your help." The other teammates sighed in relief. "We managed to kill them all." Winford took note of all the students' actions, but his attention was on Ian. Not only is Ian physically strong, but he's also considerate and cares for his comrades. That's a rare quality. In contrast, Kale was currently questioning Thunder. "Why didn't you join us? It's dangerous in the vehicle. If something happened, we couldn't have saved you in time." Thunder stretched and replied in a sleepy voice, "I was too sleepy. With the knights here, there was no problem." Kale looked at him in frustration. "You kid, you're still as unsociable as ever." Meanwhile, Winford was wrestling with another problem. He sighed. "Who in the world is the chosen child from the prophecy?" Once things settled down, the convoy resumed its journey through forests and over mountains. Inside the vehicle, Kale excitedly bragged to his friends, "I killed the most spike worms." Tan, sitting opposite him, smiled. "You're a pretty good kid." Flattered by the praise, Kale became even more boastful. "See, evil beasts are nothing special." Tan chimed in as well. "I feel like we'll become knights in no time." As he spoke, Tan glanced smugly at a classmate being bandaged by Serena. Serena asked, focused, "Does it hurt?" The friend winced and replied, "It doesn't hurt." But Tan continued his boasting. "If we're lucky, we might even get a white belt." Hearing Tan mention it, Kale was a little surprised. "A white belt, what's that?" Seeing his reaction, Tan put on a mysterious act. "You don't know." Then Tan raised his hand and explained in a loud voice, "Even though they're all knights, they are still divided by rank. See? The people escorting us are all attendants. The white belt is the highest rank." The group then peeked out the window as Tan lowered his voice. "They all have white belts, which means they were certified in all the necessary knightly skills during the exam." He also told the group about other types of knight belts. There are also blue and black belts, each representing different abilities. Suddenly, Tan glanced towards the back, his scornful gaze fixed on Thunder. His voice held a hint of insinuation. "And the lowest rank for a knight is the red belt. Only those who perform poorly in the exam receive that one." Tan then continued to list the perks for each belt color. Those who get a white belt receive special dedicated training. Besides private instruction, they also get a bonus. Unlike the white belt, receiving the red belt is quite miserable. Those with the red belt aren't so lucky. Although they also receive training, no one supervises them. They'll mostly be assigned heavy labor. After they're done, they're dismissed for the day. Most of the time, they work on a whim. To put it bluntly, they've been abandoned by the academy. Hearing this, Thunder felt as if he'd been struck by lightning. He silently made a mental note. "Able to work on a whim, you say? Doesn't that mean I'll have more time to hunt evil beasts? If that's the case, I might be able to get high-grade crystals and new abilities very quickly." At that moment, an idea sparked in Thunder's mind. He clenched his fists, making a silent resolve. "This is great. I have to find a way to get the red belt." After an unknown amount of time, the convoy finally reached its destination. The vehicle stopped before a large gate. "Get out." "We're here." The massive castle before them left all the students in awe. As Thunder stepped out of the vehicle, he was met with a clamor of sounds. "Isn't this a bit over the top? This gate has to be 50. No, at least 100 stories high." Even Thunder couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. He cheered inwardly. This is the Pharaoh Apartments Academy. What Thunder saw was an immense academy decorated in a classical style with white as the dominant color. Tan was no exception, his eyes wide with astonishment. "Oh my God, I'd heard stories, but I never imagined the academy would be this grand." Beside him, Munch was also staring in a daze. The entire academy is equipped with crystal orbs. Purple ones! This made Tan even more impressed. The whole academy is like a city, and everyone in it is a knight. The academy's energy is supplied by crystals, supplied by magic. They don't even need fire for lighting. It's so luxurious. Amidst the chaotic crowd at the gate, perhaps only Kale remained somewhat calm. He simply remarked that it was completely different from the village he grew up in. Seeing everyone gawking, Winter reminded them, "Hurry and follow me. Stop looking left and right." "If you get lost, it's not my problem. You'll have plenty of time to explore later," Kale shouted in response. Understood. Winter expertly led the students to see some important areas. "This is the armory." The guards saw him and greeted him politely, "Lord Winter." "Hello." Afterwards, the group moved on to the library. Winter introduced, "This is the library, so no idle chatter. Be quiet." A few young girls whispered as Winter walked by. "Look, it's Lord Winter. He's so handsome." Whispering, Tan asked in confusion, pointing to a person behind them. Even the person in charge of the library is a knight. The person he mentioned was sitting at the librarian's desk, cheerfully greeting a visitor. "Welcome, please come again." Seeing this, Winter simply replied, "Of course. All students must stay for 2 years of volunteer service after graduation. Whether they leave or stay after that is their personal choice." Finally, the group was... Winter led them to a giant stone monument. His voice was mysterious. "Before we head to the dorms, this is the last stop on our tour." Seeing the surroundings, the group started to whisper among themselves. Ian looked at the stone tablets arranged in neat rows on either side and guessed, "This is a cemetery." Hearing Ian say this, Thunder also seemed to feel a slight chill run down his spine. Not keeping them waiting, Winter explained in a loud voice, "This is the burial ground for the knights who died in service to King Arun." Water's voice suddenly became harsh. With a stern expression, he said to all the students, "Bringing you here is to remind you that the war has not ended for a single moment. You must always engrave your mission in your hearts and always be mindful of protecting the nation." Every word from Water seemed to awaken the passion within the students. The group immediately shouted, "For our country we sacrifice, for our people we serve." Only Thunder was different. He grimly looked at all of them. Seriously. Thunder's entire body began to tremble uncontrollably. He lowered his head as if trying to suppress his emotions. In his mind, an image of the stone statue surrounding the giant stele appeared. Thunder's eyes became bloodshot. "Using the bodies of our dragon kind to create armor and weapons." Just then, Slavia at the front boldly raised her hand to ask a question. "Excuse me, who is this statue of?" To answer her, Water looked at the statues and replied, "These are the founders of Pharos Apartments Academy, the legendary dragon engineers." Thunder tried to act normal and asked, "What is a dragon engineer?" But Water didn't answer. He turned away abruptly, his tone impatient. "You'll find out when you all study the Academy's history. Now everyone follow me." Realizing he was being ignored, Thunder's dragon eyes lit up. He was annoyed. How dare he ignore me? Suddenly, Thunder noticed something. He furrowed his brows and stared intently at the ground. As the group was about to leave, Kyle noticed Thunder had fallen behind and thought, "What's wrong with Thunder?" And he urged Thunder, "We have to go." But Thunder paid no attention, his eyes still glued to that spot. How can this be? It turned out that when his dragon eyes activated, Thunder had discovered a hollow space right beneath his feet. He wondered, what is in that secret room under the cemetery? In that room, a yellow speck of light flickered. Thunder exclaimed in amazement, "A life form." A while later, the group was being assigned to their dorms. Kyle smiled happily, wondering who he would be rooming with. "I hope I get a good roommate." Amidst the chaotic chatter, Thunder was still distracted by his doubts. It's strange how can something be alive in a cemetery. Besides, its shape was bizarre, even if it was a demonic beast. Kyle suddenly stopped walking. He pouted and looked back. "Thunder, are you even listening to me?" Thunder was startled and replied, "Sorry, I was lost in thought. You were saying a roommate." Soon the two arrived at their room. Kyle looked at the nameplate on the door. "Great, it looks like we're in the same room. Let me see who else is with us." Just then, a girl's shocked voice from nearby caught their attention. "This has to be a lie, right?" In front of them was Slavia, looking as if she had just witnessed something terrible. Thunder exclaimed in surprise. Slavia Kyle, however, smiled brightly and waved his hand to console her. "What's so strange about it? I heard this Knight Academy has always preached equality with no gender segregation. Look on the bright side, at least we're all pretty friendly." But his words only made her angrier. Slavia threw her bag right in Kyle's face. "Shut up, I'm not rooming with boys." Then she stormed off, fuming, "I have to change dorms." The noise caused a few curious students to peek out. Munch wondered what's going on. Seeing Kyle get hit, Ian exclaimed, "Looks like there's big trouble." Thunder, standing aside, casually explained, "It's nothing. The young lady is just throwing a fit." The four then formally introduced themselves. "Hey everyone, we're in this room too. I'm Kyle and this is Thunder," Munch said cheerfully. "I'm Munch, hello everyone." Beside him, Ian politely replied, "I'm Ian." Thunder paid special attention to Ian, his gaze scanning the top of his head. "Ian, he has red hair too." Kyle turned back to the nameplate and exclaimed, "Looks like we have even more roommates." Thunder read and mumbled Tan and Mary Ironwood. "I feel like I've heard that name somewhere." A moment later, Slavia returned by herself. Seeing her, the group stared with wide eyes. Then Slavia picked up her bag and quickly went into the room. Before entering, she warned them coldly, "I need to change. I'm warning you, none of you are to come inside." The door slammed shut in front of the four guys. Kyle said, as if he knew it all along, "I told you so. The Night Academy wouldn't change her dorm." Just then, Tan's voice rang out. "Hey, why are you guys just standing out here?" Kyle looked at him happily. "Tan, we were waiting for you." Hearing this, Tan was confused. "Waiting for me? What for?" Then Kyle pointed at the door, his voice mysterious. "We just found a big snake in there. We were just discussing who should go and catch it." Without a hint of doubt, Tan believed him. He gripped his weapon tightly and strode forward. Snake. Ridiculous. How can future knights be afraid of a snake? Let me show you all how it's done. As the group watched eagerly, Tan strode confidently into the room. When the door closed, Ian and Munch stared wide-eyed in shock while the culprits Kyle and Thunder couldn't hold back their laughter. The scene shifts to a lavish party in a luxurious room. Amidst the bustling crowd, Tan's angry voice rang out. "You dared to lie to me about a snake. Was that funny to you, huh?" Kyle replied playfully. Yes, it was. Tan, with a red handprint on his face, sat next to Kyle and Thunder. He gnawed on a chicken leg resentfully. "This is great. I really provoked a ticking time bomb. Do you think one day she'll wait for me to fall asleep and then poison me?" Kyle teased. "Isn't that a good thing? Some people can't even get a chance to talk to her. With a temper like hers, who would have thought?" These words reached Slavia's ears, adding fuel to the fire. She exploded in anger, yelling at the three of them. "What are you talking about? Doing what? What's so good about that?" Kyle and Tan were startled. "It's nothing. We weren't talking about anything." As if she had vented her anger, Slavia sat down. Her face was flushed, but she tried to appear calm. "Seriously, how can you guys still be eating? The exam is starting soon. Haven't you heard?" Kyle glanced at Thunder, not wanting to miss a single delicious bite. "The night placement exam, I've heard of it, but what does that have to do with eating?" Thunder was the same, still focused on his meal. This is free after all, seeing the two of them so engrossed in eating. Slavia sighed, speechless. "You two are hopeless." Just then, a contemptuous voice came from behind. "Looks like they've never had good food before." The guy next to him, Ryan, added, "After all, they come from poor backgrounds not like us. Look at the way they eat." They were walking past Thunder's table. Before walking away, they jeered, "Let's go, let's go. They'll only last for a few meals before they have to run back to their mommies anyway." Ryan and Luke approached the gentle Ian. Ryan sneered, "Look how huge this guy is, he's about to break his chair." Then Luke, the country bumpkin, pulled up a chair while taunting him. "Ian, did no one ever tell you not to take up so much space?" And they didn't stop there. They arrogantly raised their voices. "It really ruins one's appetite. Why are all these redheads from Randytown anyway?" Hearing this, Kyle's face darkened and he froze. The siblings, Joyous and Lazy, couldn't take it anymore either. Joyous angrily reached for his sword, but luckily Lazy pushed his hand down. But Ryan and Luke, feeling emboldened, pressed on. They pretended to yell, "It's probably contagious. I don't want to become a redhead. Stay away from us, you country bumpkins." Hearing this, Munch immediately stood up and warned them, "You've taken it too far." Seeing Munch stand up for them, Ryan sneered, "What, you want to help them?" Luke directly mocked him. "From the looks of you, the most you'll get is a red belt. You should worry about yourself first, or else we'll beat you up too." Munch was speechless with anger. Ian quickly said, "Stop it, Munch, it's fine." Ryan went back to bullying the gentle Ian, putting an elbow on his shoulder. "You damn redhead! You seem to know what's good for you. Let me tell you from now on at this academy, if you run into us, you'd better get out of the way." Ian timidly replied, "Okay." At that moment, someone couldn't hold back any longer. A chicken leg flew right at Ryan's face. He caught it and started yelling, "Damn it, who did that? Show yourself!" Just as Ryan wished, a hand slammed his face onto the table in an instant. Ryan yelled in pain, "Let me go! What are you doing? You tell me!" Thunder twisted his arm behind his back and roared, "Now who needs to get out of the way? I'm talking about you." But Ryan remained defiant. "You monstrous redhead." As soon as the words left his mouth, he started screaming for his life. "Help me! This guy is insane!" The curious crowd gathered around, murmuring a fight has broken out. Seeing Thunder go this far for him, Ian quickly came to mediate. "Thunder, thank you, but they didn't hurt me." Kyle whispered a reminder. "That's right, Thunder, stop making a scene. All the knights are watching." Slavia anxiously persuaded him. "Thunder, the exam is about to start. Don't ruin their impression of us." He replied coldly, "I don't care." From behind, Luke pointed and cursed. "You bastard!" Ian called out anxiously. Thunder, seeing that he still wouldn't let go. He immediately shouted for the knight to save him, claiming the redhead was being violent with other students. Just then, Winter arrived, his face grim, and loudly ordered Thunder to let him go. But Thunder only tightened his grip. He called out behind him, "You know, Ian, I learned a painful lesson when I was young." Ryan screamed in panic. "Sir Knight, please save my life." Thunder's voice continued. "When someone tries to walk all over you and bully you like this..." Winter couldn't take it anymore and roared an order at Thunder. "Thunder Taylor, I order you to stop." But he ignored the order. Thunder tightened his grip, a cruel look on his face. "Let's teach this brat a lesson." Seeing Ryan writhing in pain in Thunder's grasp, the students from the other academy backed away in fear. "What's with him? He's terrifying." After he finished, Thunder returned to his usual cold demeanor. He then turned to Ian and said, "See that? The only way to make them remember the pain is to subdue them." Having been ignored, Winter was instantly enraged. Veins bulged around his eyes. "Thunder Taylor, why did you disobey my command?" At this, Thunder gleefully pointed to his ear and took the opportunity to mock him. "Sorry, Sir Knight, my ears are just like yours. They have a bit of a problem. They only hear what they want to hear." Then Thunder left Winter standing there dumbfounded. He calmly took Kyle's hand. "Come on, let's eat first. Don't let something like that spoil our appetite." The crowd who witnessed it felt quite satisfied. They whispered, "Honestly, those two brought it on themselves. They love bullying others, but this time they've met their match." Only Winter was displeased. He frowned silently, repeating that hateful name in his mind, Thunder Taylor. After that little bit of entertainment, the lavish party resumed. All eyes turned to the stage as 3 knights ascended. They whispered, "It's the 3 grand knights." Another person whispered, "Is that Winford? The exam must be starting soon." On the high platform, Winford raised his hand to quiet the crowd below. Then, after his introduction, 6 mysterious figures in black cloaks entered. "Now please welcome the headmaster of Ferris Academy and the 6 elders." The crowd buzzed. "It's the 6 elders. Why is this so formal? What's happening? I'm getting nervous. This exam seems really intense. I've never heard of the 6 elders attending before." From below, Thunder had already activated his dragon's eye. He was astonished as he scanned the 6 of them. The aura of these 6 is incredibly strong. This uneasy feeling reminded Thunder of his past life, just like the one who killed him. Thunder curiously watched as a cart was pushed in. It was piled high with belts. "Today, witnessed by the 6 elders, we will conduct the assessment for the new knight class. Based on your results, we will award belts of different colors." At this moment, Winford gravely announced to the students, "Some of you may have heard that poor results mean you will receive the ominous red belt, the mark of a failure." Seeing the fear in the students' eyes, Winford offered some subtle encouragement. "But what I want to tell you all today is this. Even if you receive the red belt, you can one day stand where I am now." The students' eyes immediately lit up. "You must believe. From the day you were chosen at age 5, you already possessed outstanding talent beyond others. The training that comes after will help you bring out your own talents, so please don't lose heart." Seeing this, Thunder sighed softly, his eyes showing both admiration and a hint of anticipation. This guy is pretty good at boosting morale. I wonder what his expression will be when I get the red belt. Winford, having done his part, turned to Winter. "Winter, the rest is up to you." He nodded. "Don't worry." Then Winter glanced at Thunder, his eyes bloodshot. He enunciated each word clearly. "I will carry out my duties as the Academy requires." All students will undergo a 15-round assessment testing various knightly abilities. The first is duel strength, moving a large boulder. Next is the blazing inferno, where students must endure flames. After that is the invisibility test, which assesses students' stealth skills. There are also 2 more rounds, keen eyes and will of truth, to test the students' willpower and observation skills. The first round, duel strength, was held in a large circular arena. Its most prominent feature was the crystals. They were exquisitely carved on the ceiling. In the middle of the arena, Winter explained the rules. "The rules are simple. You just have to push this boulder with all your might." When the boulder reaches the designated spot, the test is complete. Then he held up a gauntlet set with 2 power crystals. Winter continued. You each have 2 chances. If you fail on the first attempt, then for your second attempt you may use the magic gauntlet. It will give you extra strength to help you succeed. However, there is a small catch. Naturally, using the magic gauntlet will affect your evaluation score, so consider your choice carefully. Kyle whispered to Thunder. Looks pretty easy, he agreed. Yeah, a piece of cake. Thunder looked up at Winter and said cryptically, but I'm sure someone here doesn't want me to have an easy time. Meanwhile, Winter was still announcing the rules. Before the assessment officially begins, I have one more announcement. Kyle looked at Thunder confused. What's going on? Just then, Winter's words answered Kyle's question. As the examiner for this round, I forbid Thunder Taylor from participating. Thunder calmly crossed his arms. See, Kyle was stunned. What? Slavia immediately spoke up. That's not fair. Why isn't Thunder allowed to take the test? Winter spread his arms and said sternly to the contestants, Fair, I want to remind all you future knights that whether it's on the battlefield or here at the academy, obeying a superior's command is your absolute duty. If you have an issue, you can take it up with my superior. As for me, I follow my superior's orders unconditionally. Hearing this, Kyle and Slavia fell silent. It seemed they had understood the situation. Then Winter called the first contestant. First student, step up. Yes, sir, the student replied. Kyle looked at Thunder with worry. This is not good. It looks like he's targeting you, Thunder. Slavia beside them was equally anxious. You should report him to a superior. He can't treat you this way. But Thunder paid it no mind. He casually put his hands behind his head and started walking off. It's fine, this is exactly what I wanted. You guys just go ahead and focus on the test. I'll join you all for the next round. Winter's blatant move actually made Thunder happy. He thought perfect. This way I can make sure I get the red belt. Slavia watched Thunder walk away, her voice full of unexpressed feelings. Thunder. Soon it was Kyle's group's turn. Kyle quickly pushed the boulder. Assessment pass. Slavia was a bit weaker and had to use the gauntlet to pass. As for Ian, with his monstrous strength, he simply lifted the boulder. The shocked examiner stuttered, A assessment, pass. After his test, Kyle wiped sweat from his brow and walked over to Thunder. It all went well. Thunder looked at him cheerfully. Congrats. You'll probably have a tougher time in the second round, though. Hearing Thunder speak with such certainty, Kyle's eyes widened and he asked in surprise, Why? Thunder glanced towards Cone. See him? The examiner for the second round. Looks like he's from Jonan Academy. Cone and Winter were greeting each other. Winter, long time no see. He quickly waved his hand. Don't call me that. Kyle was so shocked he held his face and yelled, We haven't been taught magic, so why is it a test? Thunder calmly replied, Enemies on the battlefield. Won't care if you've studied it or not. I guess we'll be facing magic. Then, a hexagonal chart appeared in Thunder's vision with its points representing a knight's evaluation factors. He surmised, usually there's a big gap between those with strong physical abilities and those with weak ones. Strength, intellect, energy, agility, stamina. I think these 5 rounds are meant to assess us from different angles to identify our strengths and weaknesses and to set a new direction for our development. Kyle was completely enlightened by Thunder. He raised a finger. You make a lot of sense, but I'm not sure I'm that well-rounded. But Thunder bluntly refuted him. No, I don't think you are. After the dual strength round came the second blazing inferno, which primarily tested a student's endurance. Kyle had finished his turn, kneeling tiredly on one knee as he heard his result 57 seconds. Next, as Kyle was helped down, Thunder praised him. Not bad. You held out for a good while. But Kyle wasn't satisfied at all. Damn it, not even a minute. Tan helped Kyle up and comforted him. You did great. After all, the flames in the mage's illusion world last for a full hour, while in the real world it's only been a minute. The next contestant was Slavia. The examiner created a spot of light on her forehead with his hand and sent the illusion into her mind. Inside the illusion, Slavia is engulfed by fierce flames. Despite the scorching heat, she refuses to give up. I know this is a hallucination. The fire even burns off all her clothes. But she's determined not to give up, it's clear in her eyes. But you can't scare me. Down below, KO cheers. It's been 5 minutes, she's far surpassed second place. Even Munch has to gasp in admiration, she's been in there for so long. She's amazing. Slavia's endurance is so impressive. She has my praise as well, all right? You have proven your ability. Who is that girl? The crowd below grew noisy. She's so good. That's none of your business. She's my goddess. Shut up and get rid of your filthy thoughts. After Slavia's test, it's Thunder's turn. Next, Thunder Taylor, she whispered as she passed him. Good luck, Thunder. The old man's booming voice asked, "Are you ready?" Thunder obediently replied, "Yes, please begin. I should be able to hold on for about 20 seconds. As the crowd below saw him, they started jeering, "It's the redhead! It's that redhead!" Thunder quickly entered the illusion, calmly waiting for the flames. Suddenly his face flushed as he excitedly thought, "All right, now I will." But before Thunder could do anything, a giant fire dragon appeared in front of him. Thunder raised his hand to shield his face, staring blankly as the dragon breathed fire at him. "What the? Isn't that me?" In the real world, both Khan and Thunder were thrown back by an invisible force. Winford and Bernardo, watching from above, were completely astonished by what happened. Up above, the other knights were all stunned. The elders clearly had not expected this situation. They were speechless with surprise. Winford and Bernardo rushed over. Khan, trembling, pointed at Thunder. "The curse! He has the redhead's curse." The contestants below started gossiping non-stop. "What's going on? Why did the examiner fall over? I knew it. Getting close to that guy brings bad luck. Didn't you hear the curse? It's the curse." The murmurs grew. "He's more dangerous than the other redheads." Thunder, who seemed fine, asked with concern, "What happened to him?" Winford replied, "It's nothing serious, probably just exhaustion. You should go and get some rest." But Winford was lying. He hadn't expected this either. How strange. All of his magic has been depleted. This shouldn't be possible. Afterward, Winford quickly went to see the remaining elders. One of them asked, "What is it?" "Have you found the cause yet?" He answered hesitantly. "It's magic sickness caused by magic depletion. He'll recover after some rest." Another elder asked, "Was it because the examinee drained too much of his magic?" But that idea was quickly dismissed. Surely not. How could a mage from Jonin Academy be drained by such a low-level examination spell? Winford lowered his head, trying to move the conversation along. "I've arranged for him to rest. We can investigate the cause later. I'll arrange for another mage to be the examiner." An elder nodded. "Very well. Make the arrangements." As Winford left, one of the 6 elders, JB, beckoned a guard over and whispered instructions to him. The guard nodded. "Understood, I'll get right on it." The elder sitting next to him, who wore a yellow mouthguard, was lost in his own thoughts, frowning. The elder with the yellow mouthguard kept his eyes fixed on Thunder, quietly saying his name, Thunder Taylor. The examination was temporarily postponed, and Thunder's group gathered to talk. He asked in surprise, "What's magic sickness?" Slavia leaned against a pillar and slowly explained, "It's when a mage depletes all their magic but forces themselves to cast another spell. It causes a negative physical reaction. That's magic sickness." Ko, squatting on the ground, added dejectedly, "So that means he must have used too much magic beforehand. That guy is so unlucky." Yet Thunder was still in the mood to joke. He feigned a sigh. You could say the heavens are jealous of the elite. But Slavia was still suspicious. "It's strange. How could a mage from Jonin Academy make such a basic mistake? And what exactly was that curse he mentioned?" Before she could finish, the ground beneath them shook violently. Huge, sturdy tree trunks began to emerge from the earth. Everyone looked at each other, bewildered. "What's going on?" An earthquake. A forest of lush trees with sturdy dark brown trunks appeared before them. The contestants frantically asked each other, "What is that?" It turned out the mages were casting a spell. They had worked together to create this forest. The crowd was astonished once again. They murmured, "Is that magic trees are growing all over the arena?" Thunder's group was trapped in a corner. Ko covered his nose. "What the hell is this?" Slavia was also choking on the smoke. Someone used magic. Suddenly, an arrogant voice echoed from above them. "The third round is about to begin." Everyone stared at him in bewilderment. "Is that Finn?" He pointed a thumb at himself and said coolly, "I am the examiner for the third round. Your task is to follow me. And do your best to mimic my movements. The third round, Silent Shadow." As soon as he finished, Finn's figure vanished. Only his voice echoed Begin. Ko hadn't even processed it yet. It's starting just like that, even Thunder thought to himself. So fast, while they were all still looking at each other, Munch had already leaped into action. Tan was startled, calling out Munch. He watched in alarm. "Damn it, how is he so fast?" Then without a word, Kyle and Thunder also sprang into action. Thunder and Slavia immediately followed suit. She looked back confidently. "I won't lose to you guys. Only Tan was left on the ground." He shouted in despair, "Hey, is no one waiting for me?" Meanwhile, Finn was still dashing from branch to branch. He thought to himself, this might be a bit too difficult for these kids. With that thought, Finn glanced back, considering waiting for them for a moment. But he was met with an astonishing sight. A flicker of shock appeared in his eyes. Right behind Finn was Munch. Following Munch were Kyle, Thunder, and Slavia. Kyle shouted after him, "Hey Munch, we're about to catch you." Seeing this, Finn turned back, relieved. His voice held a hint of amusement. "Seems like I don't need to hold back." Then Finn suddenly accelerated, moving so fast he became a blur. "Now let's see you get up here with your own talent." Meanwhile, in a hidden thicket, someone was raising a bow, muttering, "So it's time to do it." Meanwhile, Thunder had fallen to the very back, struggling to keep up. "Damn it, this isn't my strong suit." Covered in sweat, Thunder pushed himself not to be left behind. He grumbled to himself, "I still prefer limb-based exercise." Just then, a shower of arrows flew towards them. Thunder frowned. "What is that?" Seeing the arrows, he quickly warned the contestants behind him, "Watch out, there's a sniper." The arrows landed precisely at the feet of Munch, Slavia, and Kyle. Fortunately, the group stopped just in time. Mia watched Finn zip past and said, "You're not holding back too much, I see. Quite a lot of them are keeping up. I guess I'm the one who'll have a tough time next." This was to Finn's liking. "The potential of this batch isn't bad, you'll see." Then Mia shouted to Thunder's group, "Don't just stand there, hurry and follow. If you don't hurry, you won't catch up. Each of you take a bow." As she spoke, a wooden plank dropped down in front of them, holding bows and arrows. Mia solemnly declared, "The assessment begins." Thunder stared blankly at the bow. The group quickly equipped themselves. Thunder guessed, "Looks like the fourth round is starting simultaneously." Kyle wondered, "Are they testing our archery accuracy?" while Slavia had already sped off. "I think so." Then she nimbly followed Munch. "I'm going first." Mia's voice echoed again. "There are many targets set up in the forest ahead. Hit 3 and you pass." Then Mia knocked an arrow, watching them with excitement. "Of course you'll have to deal with my interference." The fourth round, the precise eye, officially begins. The person trailing at the very back was Thunder, and he was a bit unhappy. "Even though all I need is a red sash," he thought. "I don't like being last at all." With that, Thunder immediately activated his dragon's eye, resolving to show off a little. Just then, an arrow glowing with a faint blue aura flew straight towards him. Seeing it, Thunder broke out in a cold sweat, stunned. He then decisively pushed Kaio, yelling, "Move!" Kaio turned around and shouted, "Thunder!" He gritted his teeth helplessly, watching the arrow tear through the air towards him. "I can't avoid this." Just as Thunder thought it was the end. From out of nowhere, another arrow flew out and deflected it. The two sharp arrows lodged themselves deep into two nearby trees, leaving deep gashes. Thunder stared at the cut on the tree, confused. "Is this level of destructive power necessary for an assessment?" Kaio sighed in relief. That was dangerous. Just as Thunder was lost in thought, a voice suddenly called out, "Is everyone okay?" Seeing Mary, Kyle quickly replied, "I'm okay. Thanks, that was a perfect shot." Mary humbly replied, "Don't mention it. If I wasn't nearby, I'm not sure I could have hit them." But they weren't allowed to talk for long. Another volley of arrows flew towards them. Thunder shouted, "Watch out, more are coming!" Then, Thunder and Kyle quickly jumped back to dodge the arrows. Something's not right. Thunder thought, his face suddenly changing. That last arrow was imbued with Kai. "It's completely different from the examiner's arrows. Someone is trying to kill us." But after a moment of thought, Thunder came to a different conclusion. "Or maybe they're targeting me." At that thought, he immediately raised his guard. Thunder knocked an arrow. At the same time, Mia from afar also noticed something was amiss. She cautiously turned around. Thunder's bow was now ready. He gritted his teeth, holding his stance, then decisively aimed in one direction. He shouted, "Over there!" Just as Thunder drew his bow, a crack suddenly appeared. Before their astonished eyes, the upper part of the bow snapped. Thunder's face went blank. Luckily, Mia arrived in time. She chased in that direction while firing a warning shot. The arrow lodged itself in the tree trunk right at the person's feet. The shadowy attacker immediately fled. When Mia arrived, the only thing there was her arrow. Mia was stunned. She thought to herself, "So fast. They dodged my attack. And they didn't leave a single trace." Mia straightened up and pulled the arrow from the tree. She was still bewildered. Who would attack the students to avoid scaring the candidates? Mia waved at them. "Sorry, that was me. I didn't mean to scare you. Everyone continue with the assessment." Hearing that, Kyle and Mary relaxed and replied, "Understood." Thunder watched Mia walk away, knowing that she wasn't the one who shot that arrow. She was just trying to reassure us. Seeing Thunder, dazed Kyle urged, "Let's go," hearing Kyle say that. As Thunder followed, he carefully considered everything. It seemed a dangerous person had snuck in among them. At the center of the forest, almost all the students had gathered. Tan could be heard blaming Munch. "You traitor, you didn't even wait for me." Munch timidly explained. But this test... Other students were discussing among themselves, hey, did you hit it? It was too difficult. Joyous was talking to his younger brother. Can you be faster next time? Lazy calmly replied, I'm lazy. In another corner, Thunder's group also gathered. Hearing what they went through, Slavia exclaimed in shock. How could something like that happen? She asked. Why didn't you report it to the Knights? But Thunder thought differently. I think it's better if we don't. Slavia looked at him confused. Why? Just then, Kyle, who had been quiet, spoke up. I agree with Thunder. The examiner wasn't being honest with us, probably to not affect our assessment. Or maybe she's trying to hide something. To Slavia's surprise, Kyle carefully explained, if there really is someone who wants to harm us, then they must have infiltrated the exam grounds. Kyle's expression darkened as he hesitated. And this person? I'm afraid it's... Slavia started to understand and finished his sentence. An examiner or one of the Knights. Then she turned and asked Thunder, so what's your plan? Thunder calmly replied, we'll figure it out as we go. I'm curious to see who's behind this. He frowned a dangerous glint in his eyes. Thunder muttered, who could it be at the same time at the edge of the forest? A nimble figure jumped down from a tree, not expecting Mia to be waiting. She yelled at him, stop right there! Mia quickly raised her bow and demanded, why did you attack the students? The other person was no pushover and stealthily reached for the weapon at his side. But Mia saw it. Don't move. At this range, I can easily kill you. He stopped hiding. Draven tilted his head, glaring at Mia. If that's how it's going to be. Without another word, Draven drew his weapon and lunged at Mia. Night was falling, and in the darkness only a shimmering red light was visible. It came from a spirit stone, illuminating everything. The instructor for this round was Denburst. It will test everyone's willpower and Kai control. The fifth round, the trial of will, officially began. Denburst then lifted a sword high and announced this sword was forged from a transcendent firebird. When you hold it, the sword will emit flames. You may not have learned to use ki, but try to focus and control it with your will. The round then began. All right, first up. Ian stepped forward. He nervously gripped the sword and looked at it carefully. A moment later, a brilliant flame erupted around the sword, and just like that, his test was over. With his hair singed, Ian dejectedly walked away. Denburst called for the next person. Meanwhile, in another part of the academy, two figures were conversing. So, you not only failed the assassination, but were also discovered by the examiner. The kneeling figure said it was my incompetence. The standing figure slowly removed his mask. It was Elder JP, he said in a disappointed tone, forget it. I didn't expect this to be resolved in a single attempt. He then put his mask back on. The mask he wore was a treasure. The golden mask was a treasure that could instantly change the wearer's appearance. JP reverted to his identity as the white-bearded elder and continued speaking. It can signal our guardians. The Pureblood Guild has never vanished. Back at the assessment, Kyle's test had just finished. Denburst made a note and called all right next. Kyle gave Thunder an encouraging pat. You're the last one. It's your turn. Good luck. He nodded back. Don't worry. Below, Slavia was waiting. She asked Kyle curiously, Kyle, I've always wondered, is Thunder actually any good? Hearing Slavia's question, Kyle put a finger to his chin and answered seriously, Thunder, from what I know, he's incredibly strong. Hearing this, Tan turned around in surprise. But his scores in the first 4 rounds were terrible. Slavia was even more confused. Why would you say he's strong? But Kyle wasn't joking in the slightest. Even though I won our last duel easily, but 15 years ago, Kyle's voice trailed off as he recalled that time. I was attacked by an intermediate-level wolf beast, and Thunder defeated it and saved me. Tan didn't believe it and just laughed, saying cheerfully, come on, stop talking nonsense. 15 years ago, you were only 5 years old. How could you possibly defeat an intermediate-level wolf beast? At most, it was just a slightly large wolf. Kyle's words resonated with Slavia. She remembered the night she caught Thunder sneaking out. If Thunder is really that strong, then why would he hide his true strength back in the testing area? Thunder gripped the sword's hilt. Denburst gave the command, begin. Just then, a system window appeared in midair, notifying Thunder you have obtained a transcendent beast crystal. Accept. The panel showed 2 options, accept or decline. Distracted by the system, Thunder paid no attention to the sword in his hand. The other students started murmuring, there's no flame at all. Then Thunder casually swung the sword around. What's happening? The crowd murmured. I think it's broken. Is it really broken? The light in the sword is gone. That guy always messes things up. Standing aside, Denburst's face grew pale. He lunged for the sword. "Out of the way, give me the sword!" The red crystal in the hilt had lost its light. The sight struck Denburst like lightning. This was a weapon forged from a transcendent beast, a treasure of King Arun. Denburst angrily turned and grabbed Thunder's collar. "What on earth did you do to it?" His face was completely expressionless. "What could I have done?" "This is a weapon made from a transcendent beast, after all." Thunder then added calmly, "Besides, you were watching me the entire time." Denburst was too furious to speak. "You—" Just as the situation grew tense, a knight approached from behind. "Sir Denburst, I have an urgent report for you." Denburst growled, "What is it?" He let go of Thunder and turned to hear the report. His expression changed instantly upon hearing it, but he then regained his composure. He turned his back to the students and waved his hand. "All rounds of the test have concluded. Everyone may return to your rooms and rest." Everyone immediately relaxed. It was finally over. Whispering how tired they were, another announcement rang out asking everyone to gather for dinner where belts would be distributed. Hearing that, a few trainees gathered and whispered, "My performance was still better than that guy's. At least I won't get a red belt." They whispered among themselves, not noticing Thunder still standing there motionlessly. Denbird spoke up, "Thunder Tailor, you can come down now." Thunder obeyed and went down, the knight's words still echoing in his ears. Is what that knight said true? Recalling how he had accidentally overheard a conversation earlier. Lord Denbird, the examiner for the 4th round, was just found dead. At the crime scene, Winford had arrived to investigate. In front of him was Mia's blood-soaked body. "Lord Winford, when I found her, she was already—" Winford crouched beside the body and observed carefully. "The body is still warm. She was killed not long ago. Who could it be?" A moment later, Winford stood up. He ordered the knight behind him report to the elders immediately. Understood. The knight went to the elders' conference room. Elder J.B. pretended not to know and asked, "So she's dead?" The knight bowed his head slightly. "Yes, that's right. The cut was very clean, a fatal blow. It must have been an expert's work. Furthermore, the assailant didn't trigger the security system. I'm afraid—" He hesitated. The elder in the golden mouth cover raised his hand, continuing for the knight. "It seems highly likely it was an inside job. After all, there have been certain rumors." The other elders joined the discussion. One spoke up, "The Pure Blood Guild or the Dark Guild." Another elder said angrily, "The leader of the Blue Belt Knights was killed right on the examination grounds. The culprit is too audacious. So arrogant. This matter must be thoroughly investigated." Then, an elder turned to the one standing by the window to ask for his opinion. "Grand Elder, what are your thoughts?" The Grand Elder stroked his long beard and said in a hoarse voice, "This matter is only for high-ranking officials to know. It must not be leaked. Let the elders continue the investigation. We must find the culprit." The knight immediately obeyed. "Understood. The scene changes to the belt ceremony." Everyone was buzzing. "So nervous, I wonder what color belt I'll get." Slavia finally met Mary and said, "So you're Mary. That's great. Finally, I have a female roommate." Standing aside, Kyle guessed, "Is your last name Eugene? Are you perhaps acquainted with a Mary Eugene?" Hearing that, Mary exclaimed in surprise, "You know my mother." Meanwhile, Thunder stood in a corner thinking, if even an examiner was killed. The culprit is definitely no ordinary person. The suspects must be high-ranking officials. Thinking this, Thunder became more certain of his earlier deduction. If we're talking about someone from inside the academy, perhaps only the knights and elders have this capability. Meanwhile, Kyle, knowing nothing, excitedly called to Thunder in the corner. "Thunder, remember that adventurer we met in Danny Town back then? That was Mary's mother. What a coincidence." But Kyle realized Thunder wasn't listening. He dejectedly grabbed Thunder's shoulder. "Come on, man. Lately you haven't been paying attention when I talk." Thunder looked at Kyle apologetically. "Sorry, I was thinking about the exam." Slavia approached from behind, still thinking about the archer's identity. Of course, Thunder didn't dare tell the truth. He quickly made an excuse. "No, I was just wondering why the sword in the 5th round didn't react at all." Actually, Thunder didn't want to lie, but he always prioritized his friend's safety. It was better not to let them know the examiner had been killed. After all, the more you know, the more dangerous it is. Thunder's excuse immediately convinced Slavia. She looked at him worriedly. "That really is strange. I always feel like you're not very lucky." It was the same with the Hellfire sword. While everyone was chatting excitedly, a solemn voice announced, "The Knight Commander has arrived." Seeing Winford, the crowd fell silent as a bead of sweat rolled down their foreheads. "He's finally here." Then Winford raised his hand and solemnly announced, "The ceremony will now begin. I declare the distribution of belts has started." When your name is called, step onto the stage. The first name called was unexpectedly Kyle Bluebird. He turned back in surprise. Yes. Thunder rubbed his cheek as Kyle finally let go and walked proudly onto the stage. The surrounding crowd couldn't stop debating. It's that guy. He had the best performance, right? He'll definitely get a white belt. The voice of another chatterbox chimed in, who says, "The best performer was our goddess Slavia, or maybe someone neutral. Whoever it is, they'll surely get a white belt." Winford glanced at the evaluation sheet on the table. Then he solemnly said to Kyle, "After careful consideration, the Night Order has decided to award you a black belt." This was clearly lower than what Kyle expected. He hesitated to take it. Seeing Kyle standing there in a daze, Winford smiled and prompted him, "Hey, take it." Disappointment was clear on Kyle's face, but he still took it. Understood. The gossiping crowd had something new to whisper about. What's happening? Shouldn't he have gotten a white belt? Logically, what's a black belt even for? Not sure, you basically never see them, but it's better than getting a red belt, which is worse. Next was Ian's turn. He was a bit surprised to receive a white belt. Another person whispered, "How did that redhead get a white belt?" The person next to him quickly hushed him. "Keep it down. Did you forget what happened to the last guy who got beaten up?" And Slavia was also honored with the highest result. Everyone cheered as expected of our goddess Slavia. "I knew she'd get a white belt. You got a red belt. From now on, you have no chance with the goddess." Whispering, "No, my goddess," Mary received a blue belt. She happily showed it to everyone. "Thank you." Meanwhile, Tan stood aside, tears streaming down. What? Man got a black belt. Not keeping everyone waiting, the final name was called Thunder Taylor. He was also the subject of the crowd's discussion, as everyone guessed what color he would get. Probably red. Thunder clenched his fists and quickly walked onto the stage. "It's finally my turn." But the result surprised him. Winford held out a black belt and spoke. "The Night Order, after careful consideration, has decided to give you a black belt." Seeing this, Tan cried even harder, shaking Man's shoulder. "How can a loser like him get a black belt too?" Man tried to comfort him. Maybe Thunder is hiding his true strength, but the comfort didn't help Tan. He mumbled, "What does this mean? Am I the only loser?" Even Thunder couldn't understand. He looked at the belt in his hand with doubt. "How did this happen? Why did I get a black belt? Is this a conspiracy?" Winford's voice rang out again. "The night belts have all been distributed. Whether you accept it or not, this is the final result." Man patted Tan's shoulder. "Try to look on the bright side." Winford continued instructing everyone. "From tomorrow, after completing basic training, please follow the knights according to your belt color. For different training." Kyle looked sadly at the item in his hand. What is this black color for anyway? Meanwhile, behind the trainees, Carden was reading the list. After a moment's thought, he quickly made his selections and spoke to the person in charge. "Assign me the 2 redheads." With a cigar in his mouth, Carden glanced back. "Hope they don't cause me any trouble, future Dragon Knight." Scene changes to the next day. At the training square, a crowd of people was leaving. Some waved goodbye, while another group joked, "Let's go. Finally, we can go back to the dorms." Only Thunder's group remained still. Kyle watched the crowd growing impatient. Everyone else has left. "Why isn't our instructor here yet? I hope he's a normal person." He had just muttered these complaints when a voice suddenly spoke from behind. "Are you talking about me?" Kyle jumped in surprise. The newcomer walked right past him and gave a brief introduction. "From now on, I'm your instructor. Follow me." A flustered Kyle stood at attention and quickly replied, "Yes, instructor." The man then walked ahead, not slowing down for the trainees who followed in silence. The atmosphere was very awkward. Kyle was the first to speak. "What did the knight say his name was?" Thunder shook his head slightly. "I don't think he said." "Why don't you go ask him yourself?" He only said it casually, but who knew Kyle would actually ask? "Excuse me, knight sir. How should we address you?" Thunder was speechless. This guy really dares to do anything. Without turning back, Caden waved his hand and said lazily, "You can call me Ka." Hearing this, Thunder muttered to himself. Ka, what a weird name. Keo thought so too, guessing it was not his real name. The group continued moving and soon ran into Denver. He put on a fake smile and greeted them. "Hello, Sir Caden." "What a coincidence." Caden nodded slightly in response. Sir Denver glanced at the trainees behind Caden and spoke in a mysterious tone. "The 2 redheads are going to be a handful for you this time, Sir Caden." Denver did not bother hiding his hostility, frowning deeply at Thunder. "You must be very happy to have received the black belt, right? Thunder Tallow, if it were up to me, I would never let someone like you into this academy." He calmly replied, "It's a good thing it's not up to you." Then, Thunder's answer provoked Denver, and a strong killing intent flashed in his eyes. "Be careful, I will be watching you." Just then, a sudden flash of a sword was at his neck, accompanied by Caden's deep, hoarse voice. "Sir Denver, I must remind you." He unhesitatingly pointed his sword at Denver. "Thunder Tallow is now a member of my Black Belt Knight Order." Caden paused for a moment, exhaling a puff of cigar smoke. "I hope there is no prejudice here." Leading to unpleasantness between us, Denver was still defiant, raising an eyebrow and smirking. "Whether it's prejudice or not will soon be proven." Convinced he was right, he stated firmly, "Everyone will soon realize the prediction was a mistake." Denver turned and left resentfully. "Good luck to you all watching his back." Keo wondered blankly, "Prediction what prediction?" Munch shook his head vigorously. "I've never heard of it." As for Caden, his face instantly darkened and he gritted his teeth, saying nothing. After a long while, he finally spoke. "Follow me," not long after that. Caden led the group to a large building. "This is our special training ground." The moment the large door opened, a fierce gust of wind hit them in the face. Keo blurted out, "Where is this wind coming from?" The teammate beside him mumbled, "I cannot open my eyes." Although in the same situation, Kyle was much calmer, trying to open his eyes to see the training area. When the sight of cobwebs covering the walls met his eyes, Kyle finally exclaimed, "This place is so run down." At the same time, Munch suddenly screamed out, "Where is Sir Caden?" Keo was also confused. I was not paying attention. I do not know when he disappeared. Before the group could compose themselves, the door behind them slammed shut. Startled, Kyle turned his head to check what is going on. Thunder said nothing. He decisively used his dragon eye, scanning the area. "He is gone." Thunder tried to confirm again. Even with his dragon eye, he could not see him. An anxious Kyle beside him asked Thunder, "Can you see him?" At that moment, Thunder himself was confused and answered honestly, "No, I cannot see him anywhere." The next second, Caden suddenly put his arms around them from behind. He asked in a low voice, "Are you looking for me?" His sudden appearance scared them, and the whole group screamed. After a while, things calmed down under the dim candlelight. Caden announced that from now on, everyone would have to train in an environment as dark as this. He explained it was to hone your skills and sharpen your senses until one day you can become one with the darkness, making it your sharpest weapon. Kaol could not hold back and asked directly, "Sir Caden, I heard the Black Belt Knights mainly carry out assassination missions. Is that true?" Thunder was surprised, thinking to himself, assassination. So this is what Kaol was worried about. Caden's confirmation made Kyle fall silent. "That's right. The skills you will master will make you more suitable for assassination missions than anyone else." He lowered his head and mumbled, "Why can't we fight honorably like everyone else?" Caden slowly approached, shrugged, and replied, "You were chosen to be Black Belt Knights because you possess something special that others do not." He gently patted Kaol's shoulder and said calmly, "If you want to fight honorably against others, believe me, you are also capable of that." Caden made sure to emphasize this hearing that Kaol was moved, his eyes brightening as he looked at him. "Sir Caden." Then Caden tossed an item to each of them. "Take this." Keo looked doubtful. "What is this?" Caden's lips curved into a smile as he announced, "From today on, you can use any fighting style you like." Sunlight shone on the watch face of his bracelet. It read Thunder Tallow rank 300 along with today's training completion level. He lay on his bed pondering the number 300. So this thing displays the current rankings. Thunder was lost in thought. According to Sir Caden, after daily training, the rankings will update and members can freely challenge one another. More specifically, if the lowest-ranked member wins a challenge, they can directly take the higher-ranked member's position. The higher the rank, the more resources you get. Thinking of this, Thunder immediately sat up. "Kaol, how many trainees are in our class?" The other thought for a moment. I think there are about 300. Hearing that he directly was speechless, thinking to himself. "So I am dead last." Thunder casually asked Kaol, "What is your rank?" He looked flustered and hesitated to answer. Tan ran over, glanced at the watch on Kaol's wrist, which read, "Kaol rank 1 today's training completion 100%. He excitedly grabbed Kaol's wrist. "We were wondering who number 1 was, and it turns out he is right here." Tan laughed gleefully. "This is great. The 1st and 3rd ranked are in our dorm. Does this mean we can walk around like we own the place now?" An embarrassed Kaol shouted, "Tan, you idiot!" Slavia, ranked 3rd, frowned at them. "Boys are so shallow next to her." Mary, ranked 89, just gave a wry smile. Meanwhile, Ian noticed Munch's goofy grin. Ian asked Munch, "You seem very happy?" The other replied vaguely, "It is nothing." His lips curved up as he looked at his ranking information with delight. Munch rank 65, today's training completion 100%. He told himself to keep trying harder. 10 days later, bright sunlight bathed the buildings. Thunder walked down the hallway thinking to himself, today's hunt was not very fruitful, but I am close to getting 100 crystal points from low-level beasts. As he reached the dorm entrance, he heard arguing. What do you mean by that? Thunder saw Munch looking extremely indignant. Luckily, in these special training sessions, I was able to raise my rank. Note his current rank is 50, Kyle standing opposite him replied bluntly. Perhaps. I just think those methods are a bit cheap. They wouldn't help me anyway. This statement angered Munch. Just because it's not your specialty doesn't mean it's useless, he retorted. Without those skills, I can still be number one. Munch was immediately speechless. Thunder turned to Tan and asked, What's going on? He sighed and remarked, This is the first time I've seen Munch so worked up. Tan summarized the situation. They are arguing about whether the Black Belt Night training is actually useful or not. I am curious what you are actually training. Thunder stroked his chin thoughtfully. Special training based on his analysis, assassination, and stealth are the skills of the Black Belt Knights. It is true that Kale is not skilled in these things, but in this aspect, Munch has shown a special talent here. Thunder could not deny it, but Kyle also had a point. His fundamentals were stronger than Munch's, even if Munch was ranking up quickly. But in overall strength, he still has a long way to go. The two in front continued their heated argument. Munch snapped, I will not let you look down on my efforts like that. Kyle was also losing his cool. Did I not already say it? Think whatever you want. Slavia quickly stepped in to mediate. All right. You two stop fighting. Thunder, you should try to stop them too. Thunder, who was standing quietly aside, was startled to be called out. The next second, he made a suggestion. Why do you two not just fight it out? Tan, standing nearby, enthusiastically agreed. Oh, that is a great idea. An angry Slavia jumped up. Hey, are you here to stop them or to add fuel to the fire? In a moment of impulse, Munch immediately agreed. I agree. Let's have a duel. Kyle snorted, fine by me. But if you want to fight, I will show you just how useful those skills of yours are in a real battle. Not long after. The arena area quickly became lively as people whispered to one another, hey, want to go watch? There's a challenge over there. I think it's the top new student. Another person was immediately interested. It's that red-haired guy. Who's he fighting? Another person chimed in. I heard it's a dark horse also ranked near the top. Sebastian Dennis's youngest son happened to pass by and said with a disdainful frown, fighting. The person next to him agreed there's nothing worth watching, just a bunch of country bumpkins from Rennie-town. Meanwhile, Keo was taking the opportunity to make some money. He gleefully advertised, place your bets. The Academy's new star Kyle versus Manch the Black Knight. Hurry and see who will claim victory. He smiled invitingly. Gentlemen, who do you bet on? Show your support. I'll bet 10 silver coins. That flippant attitude immediately provoked Slavia. She snapped angrily, how can you take bets on your own roommate? To her surprise, Mary also joined in. Here's 5 silver coins I want to try too. I bet on Munch maybe he'll pull off a surprise. Keo laughed and replied, thank you for your patronage, gentlemen. Slavia was utterly bewildered. Huh, Mary, why you too? Finally, unable to contain her curiosity, she turned and asked the person behind her, Thunder, do you think Munch has a chance to win? Down in the ring, Keo, acting as the referee, spoke up. Sorry to keep you ladies and gentlemen waiting. The match you've all been waiting for is about to begin. The crowd urged him hurry up. He still followed procedure, raising his voice to announce, let us witness this momentous occasion together. Just as the match was about to start, Thunder finally answered Slavia. So you also think Kyle will win, right? She couldn't deny it and remained silent. Down in the ring, Keo got into position, raised his hand, and yelled, I declare the match has begun, as soon as he gave the signal. The two in the ring immediately moved. The crowd roared with cheers, charge, go get him. Observing the match, Thunder frankly assessed Kyle has skillful technique. Compared to the rest of us, he's an outstanding talent. He didn't forget to comment on the other one. Munch also gave his all during the special training. You could say he is now a formidable opponent for Kyle. And just as Thunder said, Munch was fighting decisively on par with Kyle. As one of Munch's strikes landed, dust and smoke immediately filled the ring. In the current situation, no one could tell what had happened. But he confidently declared, I've got this. The crowd below the ring buzzed. Was he knocked down? Quickly, a sharp-eyed person spotted it. Wait, Kyle blocked the attack. This was beyond Munch's expectations, and he blurted out how. Kyle completely blocked the attack with his sword, raised an eyebrow, and said, Give up, you can't win. Thunder watched it all and analyzed with his arms crossed. Munch's technique has certainly improved, but it's gotten to the point where Kyle has to be on his guard. But then he stretched and yawned, finally concluding, I still believe Kyle will win. Slavia nodded in agreement, assessing the fundamental skill gap. A skill gap like that can't be closed in such a short time. Hearing the two of them talk, Mary couldn't help but feel anxious. Back in the ring, Munch seemed to have lost his composure, furiously attacking Kyle while repeatedly muttering, damn it. He calmly blocked every blow. Then at a certain point, Kyle suddenly turned, saying, it's my turn. With a single finishing blow, he decided the outcome. The wooden sword in Munch's hand snapped in two. Unable to accept reality, his face paled as he watched the blade fly away. How? Before Munch's horrified eyes, the broken sword hit the floor. Kyle calmly turned to look at him. It's over. Munch collapsed to his knees, his head bowed in defeat. How could this be? Kyle then said, without another glance at his opponent, he turned to leave. It's a pity, but this is reality. Munch tightened his grip on the hilt as a red aura suddenly flared around him. He gritted his teeth and growled, no, it's not over yet. Thunder keenly sensed something was wrong and froze. That is, down in the ring, an agitated Munch charged at Kyle's back with the broken sword, shouting, it's not over yet. Seeing the situation was out of control, Slavia screamed in panic, watch out. Mary beside her was equally frantic, rushing to stop him. Munch stopped just at that critical moment. The broken blade, just inches from Kyle's neck, suddenly stopped. He turned his head in confusion at the sight that met his eyes. It made Kyle's face turn pale. On the blade at his neck, warm blood was dripping continuously. The onlookers were also stunned. Tanha stood agape, unable to speak. Ian jumped up in horror, his lips trembling. How is that possible? Even Slavia was stunned, wondering when on earth did he? Down in the ring, Thunder had appeared just in time, grabbing the wooden blade with his bare hand. He warned sternly, Munch, stop now. Kyle looked at his bleeding hand and called out worriedly, Thunder. Perhaps the smell of blood brought Munch to his senses. He dropped the sword in a panic, looking awkwardly at Thunder's hand. I'm sorry, over here. Slavia still couldn't believe her eyes. Munch's speed was astounding. I didn't even see him move clearly, yet in that short time, Thunder managed to intercept. How did he do that? Over at the ring, Munch profusely apologized to Thunder, stammering, I'm sorry, I'm really so sorry. It was all because I was too reckless, if it weren't for Thunder. If you hadn't stopped me, I would have caused a huge disaster. He didn't seem to mind, shaking his head reassuringly. It's nothing, just a small wound. Meanwhile, the crowd buzzed. So who's the winner then? Someone immediately spoke up. I don't know, it probably counts as a win for Kyle. Another person stubbornly disagreed, who says so. If he hadn't been stopped, Kyle definitely couldn't have dodged that attack. An argument suddenly erupted, but the match had already ended before that. Keo quickly sized up the situation and waved his hands to make an announcement. Everyone quiet down. Due to third-party interference, the result of this match is void. You can all get your money back later. Of course, some people were still dissatisfied and shouted in protest. This is unacceptable. Some hotheads even started throwing bottles into the ring. Damn it, did you do this on purpose? That was clearly my winnings. If you can't play, then don't bet. Keo tried his best to calm the crowd. Everyone, please calm down. I said I'll return your money. But their attitude remained extremely hostile. They shouted directly, cut the crap. The situation quickly spiraled out of control. The people in the ring were pelted with stones, enduring the crowd's vicious words. You guys ruined everything. Such troublemaking trash. What's the point of a refund? We obviously bet on the winner. Get out of the academy, you bunch of red-haired freaks, as they were leaving. Thunder was suddenly hit in the head by a stone. Below, the crowd was wildly cursing unlucky red hair. The scene was chaotic, and harsh criticisms rang in his ears. Get out of the academy, get out! Get out! Kyle rushed to support Thunder, worriedly calling his name Thunder. Munch tried to hold back the crowd, asking everyone to calm down, but was met with vicious words, shut up, get out. Keo noticed Thunder staggering, and his face changed. Thunder, what's wrong? He replied weakly, let's go. Slavia and Mary also came down to shield him, trying their best to persuade the crowd, please don't do this. The match is already over. Everyone, please calm down. Amidst the chaos, Eric casually picked up a large brick with a cunning smile. Let me give him a big one. Before he could even move his wrist, he was suddenly hit by a thrown stone. As a reflex, he dropped the brick and hissed in pain. Munch had seen Eric's intention and stopped him from the start. Don't do it. He furiously pointed at Munch's face. Hey, isn't this all because you're useless? Munch retorted, but this has nothing to do with Thunder. Eric was choked with anger and could only yell, you little brat, you better remember this. His own man was attacked right in the middle of this chaos. Sebastian's face immediately darkened, showing his displeasure. The space around Thunder seemed to freeze as the crowd's vicious words echoed in his ears. Red-haired freak. Thunder felt countless malicious gazes piercing him as they hurled insults. Get out of the academy, you trash freak. You should have never been born. Nothing good happens when you're here. Go die, you jinx. As he walked through their storm of insults, he truly couldn't understand why this was happening. Are all these filthy humans like this? But there were still voices of concern. Stop throwing things, we are all fellow students. Thunder, are you okay? But he was almost drowned by harsh insults. I don't want to study with a freak. That's right. And then those venomous words reached Thunder's ears. Like a poison slowly destroying him, Thunder's whole body trembled. He could only hear the insults flooding his ears. Cursed red-haired freak. Go die, you trash, useless idiot, die. Get lost, you despicable thing, die. Thunder began to lose control, his dragon eyes unconsciously appearing veins bulging on his forehead. He gritted his teeth in fury. Amidst the chaos, a stern voice suddenly boomed, "Silence." The crowd instantly quieted down, turning to look where the voice came from. When they saw who had arrived, they began to whisper, "It's Lord Winford. What's he doing here? Could he have placed a bet too?" Someone immediately cut in, "Don't be stupid. How could that be?" As soon as Kale saw Winford, he rushed to report, "Lord Winford, Thunder is bleeding badly. We need to bandage him up." He nodded slightly and offered, "Let me help you stop the bleeding." But Thunder flatly refused. "There's no need. It's just a small wound. Is there something you need?" The man hesitated for a few seconds before saying hesitantly, "Thunder, your mother is here." Hearing this, he froze completely, his eyes wide with shock. Not long after, the scene shifts to a room. A woman stood silently by the window. The next moment, a hurried, breathless voice called out, getting closer and closer. Mom startled. Scarlet turned to look. Thunder. He burst through the door, his head still bandaged and panting. "It's really you, Mom?" Scarlet asked gently. "It's been a while. You've grown so much." Thunder replied cheerfully. "Yes, I'm a bit taller." Scarlet hesitantly began Thunder, but he excitedly grabbed her hand. "Enough about me. You're here. Does that mean Dad's condition is better? Since things have come to this." Scarlet had no choice but to tell Thunder the truth. "Your father? He has left." Hearing this, he panicked. "Dad's dead." Scarlet quickly explained, "That's not what I meant. I said your father has left home." "He's left the village." Thunder grew even more confused. "Left? How is that possible? Isn't he infected with the shadow plague? He should be at home recovering. How could he suddenly be able to walk again?" Outside, Winford leaned against the door, silently listening to their conversation. You see, before this, he had always hidden the truth about the shadow plague from Thunder. From what Winford knew, those infected usually died within a year, and Jack was one of the few who could survive it. But eventually, no matter how strong, they all succumbed to the disease, becoming carriers who spread it. For years, there had been no exceptions. Inside the room, Scarlet slowly recounted the whole story to Thunder. "Actually, I only found out today myself. For 15 years, your father has been fighting the shadow plague," she recalled a time before. One night, Scarlet was startled by a sudden noise. "Huh, what was that sound?" At that moment in the bedroom, a black ink bottle was rolling on the floor. Papers were scattered everywhere. As Scarlet pushed open the door, she saw her husband hunched over the desk, writing something. She gasped, "Jack." He turned his face, panting heavily. He smiled faintly and said, "Scarlet." She rushed to embrace him, crying out joyfully, "You're awake!" "Jack, this is wonderful." He hugged Scarlet back tightly, but it wasn't long before the dark purple veins reappeared on his face. He could barely breathe as he whispered in her ear, "It's no use. I can't fight it anymore." His words threw her into despair, tears streaming down her face. "You have to kill me." Scarlet, of course, refused, choking out, "No, Jack. I can't." He caressed her face gently, trying to persuade her, "Scarlet, after you kill me." Before Jack could finish, a wave of pain hit him. He choked, his eyes widening. He clutched his head, trying to stay conscious, repeatedly urging, "Kill me now." Scarlet rushed to his side. "Jack, what's wrong?" But Jack's condition deteriorated rapidly. Dark purple energy swirled around him as he screamed frantically, "Kill me now!" Panicked Scarlet tried to call his name, Jack. In an instant, he lost control, springing to his feet and growling. The energy he unleashed shook the entire room. Scarlet could only sob his name, Jack. She collapsed to the floor as fire quickly spread around them. Jack, still consumed by the plague, pleaded, "Kill me now." Scarlet adamantly refused. She couldn't do it. Her eyes were swollen and red from crying, but she still answered firmly no. Jack's figure flickered behind the intense flames. He was a complete wreck, repeating only one phrase. "Kill me now." "Kill me," Jack stood there, his voice a hoarse, mournful shout. Back in the present, Thunder hesitantly confirmed, "So, you didn't do it, Mom." Scarlet's face was etched with sorrow as she rummaged in her pocket and replied, "He's your father. Also, he left this for you. I felt I had to give it to you myself." With that, she took out a letter and carefully handed it to Thunder. He took it and began to read, his expression doubtful. "He left this for me." The letter read, "My dearest Thunder, I'm ashamed I can't be there to watch you grow up. From the moment your mother and I first saw you, I knew you were special. I know you entered the Pharaoh Academy, and I also know your true strength is even greater than that." Every word Jack wrote was filled with sincerity. He confessed, "I am so proud of you." At the end, he wrote, "I'm sorry I can't be with you any longer. I hope you can live your life as you wish. Thank you for being my son. I will always love you." After reading it all, Thunder's body trembled. He clutched the letter tightly, tears streaming down his face, choked with emotion. What a foolish old man, writing as if this is his last will and testament. What's the point of being so sentimental? "I will find a way to save you, Dad." Time passed quickly after that. Thunder returned to his dorm and collapsed onto the bed, his arm across his forehead. He recalled his mother's words before she left. "Thunder, I have to go find your father. No matter what he's become, I have to find him." He had offered, "Then I'll go with you," but Scarlet had flatly refused. "No, you have your own responsibilities. I think your father would want that too." Thunder still tried to convince her, but Scarlet cut him off firmly. "Thunder, I'm so glad I got to see you. Don't worry about us. Just do what you need to do." Finally, she said goodbye with a tight hug. She gently patted his head. The memory ended, leaving him lost in thought. "It's been 10 years. I haven't accomplished anything at all. Just like the humans, I've made no progress. I can't avenge my people, and I can't even protect those I want to. Everything is just awful." Hearing the door open, Thunder shot up his eyes, meeting Kale's. Kale asked with concern, "Thunder, you're back. Did you get to see your mom? What did she say? Is your dad doing all right?" But Thunder just walked past Kale and headed straight out. He walked slowly down the hall, his back looking incredibly lonely, letting out a soft, non-committal hum. Seeing his friend like this, Kale couldn't help but worry. He pursed his lips and called out, "Thunder." He thought to himself, he doesn't seem all right at all. Just then, a piece of paper on the table fluttered to the floor. It caught Kale's attention. He picked it up and glanced over it. This is... Kale was so absorbed he didn't notice a hand sneaking up until Tan snatched the paper from him, laughing triumphantly. "Caught you reading something so intently? It must be a love letter from some girl, right?" Kale yelled angrily. "Tan, what are you doing? Give that back." The other guy was still joking around. "Don't be so shy. Let me see what this secret romance of yours is all about." Kale tried to grab it back. "I told you it's not a love letter. Give it back." The others returned to the dorm just then. Slavia froze, dumbfounded by the sight. "What are you two doing?" "A love letter," Kyle explained impatiently. "It's a letter for Thunder." At this, everyone was stunned. Slavia blurted out, "What?" A short while later, Kale told the others everything from beginning to end. He sighed. So this is what happened. Slavia was still processing the news, mumbling, "So Thunder's father was infected with the shadow plague." Tan remarked, "I never would have guessed. That guy had such a rough childhood. I guess we should be a bit nicer to him." Meanwhile, Monch sat silently in a corner, head down in deep thought. The scene changes to the dining hall, which is bustling with people. Only Thunder walked alone with his head down. Slavia suddenly appeared with a smile and started talking to Thunder. "What a coincidence, are you going to eat?" Mary also smiled and suggested, "Let's go together." He looked left and right, bewildered. An hour later, back in the dorm, Thunder looked confused at the neatly arranged things on his bed. "My bed and clothes." Tan walked over to him, trying his best to act, and asked with a smile, "Hey, Thunder, what do you think of Slavia? She's not a bad girl, right?" Before Thunder could understand a thing, Ian stammered, "Yes, that's Slavia." Their awkward reactions combined with recent events made Thunder suspicious. What's up with these guys? The next day, he returned to his room to find Kyle arranging freshly picked lilies on the table. Thunder frowned and asked, "What is it this time?" The other hesitated. "Well, Thunder, it's just... I thought looking at fresh flowers would lift your spirits, don't you agree?" Hearing this, he immediately looked disgusted. Have you fallen in love with me or something? Kyle jumped up in embarrassment. How could that be? Thunder took the chance to ask directly. I've been meaning to ask what's been going on with you guys lately. Kyle stammered for a moment and finally decided to confess about that. I'm sorry I accidentally read your letter. Thunder looked at him with an unreadable expression. Fearing he was angry, Kyle rushed to explain, I'm sorry, Thunder, it was all my fault. A letter is a private thing. I shouldn't have opened it. I didn't let anyone else read it either. In short, I was wrong. I revealed your secret. I'm sorry. But contrary to his expectations, Thunder broke into a radiant smile and said sincerely, thank you, everyone. Seeing this, Kyle sighed in relief, as long as you're not angry, Thunder. Just then, a commotion was heard outside. Hurry, bring him in. Make way, hurry up. The door opened, and Munch was there covered in bruises. Coughing, he was helped into the room by Tan and Ian. Munch were at the dorm. Hang in there, Slavia urged. Quick, put him on the bed. Mary, standing nearby, was already crying in panic, calling his name. Kyle frantically asked what happened. Tan immediately explained it was that guy Sebastian. He challenged Munch to a duel. Thunder was confused. In a ranking battle, doesn't the match end if you just concede? How did he get injured this badly? Over here. As Ian carefully helped Munch onto the bed, Tan hurriedly explained, his voice filled with indignation. Munch had already been beaten unconscious. He didn't even get a chance to concede, but that guy didn't stop. He kept hitting him. He was clearly doing it on purpose. Munch was laid on the bed amidst Mary's sobs. He struggled to call out Thunder. He immediately went over Munch. What is it to think he was this badly injured? But he was still worried about Thunder, even looking extremely guilty. Sorry I couldn't make your bed for you these past few days. Hearing that, Thunder froze. Slavia's urgent voice was heard. It looks like his arms and legs have hairline fractures. We need to get a doctor. Ian immediately volunteered. All right, I'll go get one now. Without a word, Thunder stood up and turned to leave. Kyle noticed and asked worriedly, Thunder, where are you going? He looked back, his eyes filled with killing intent, to get justice for Munch, of course. Kyle gently pulled his hand. Wait, Thunder, don't be rash. Thunder's face darkened. Do you want to come with me? He hesitated. I want to help Munch get even, too. But, Thunder said coldly, but what? All I know is an eye for an eye, Slavia added worriedly. Because Sebastian is a member of the Delt family, Kyle agreed. That's right, he's the son of Sir Denbird. We can't afford to offend them. Thunder walked away without looking back. So what? If he wants to cause trouble, he must face the consequences. Thunder, Kyle yelled. Don't you get it? This isn't the first time he's done this. No one in the academy wants to mess with him. They might even expel you. He waved a hand. Don't worry, I'm not that stupid. As long as it's an official match, I can legitimately go, get my revenge. Thunder! Kyle called out, his voice filled with helplessness. The scene shifts to a beautiful landscape of rolling hills and flowers. Sebastian praised, not bad, Eric. Keep it up. Amidst the clashing of swords, Sebastian walked past the trainees. Eric replied, understood. Thunder was being blocked by two people. Hey, you're not one of us. Buddy, we're training here. If you need something, wait over there. He asked coldly. Which one of you is Sebastian? The first student asked curiously. You're looking for Sebastian. I don't remember him having any red-haired friends, said the second one with a laugh. If it's not you, then move. Hearing the noise, Eric yelled, what's all the commotion? What is it? The first student pointed at Thunder. Eric, this guy just barged in saying he's looking for Sebastian. Hearing that, Eric yelled mockingly, huh? Sebastian would never associate with a red-haired freak. Didn't your parents teach you any manners? Eric angrily pointed at him. Can't you see we're training here? Thunder calmly asked. Are you Sebastian? If not, I have no business with you. He gritted his teeth. You... Suddenly, a voice called from behind Eric. Sebastian chuckled slightly. I'm the Sebastian you're looking for. He pointed to Thunder's waist. Seeing that black belt, you must be here for your friend, right? Thunder got straight to the point, since you know I won't waste words. He tapped the watch on his wrist. Let's have a duel. What? Sebastian reacted so straightforward. System Thunder Taylor, rank 300. Accept or decline. He laughed and tapped at his watch. Sorry, I think I'll decline. Thunder's face grew cold. What, are you scared? Sebastian said mockingly. Looking at your rank, a duel seems unnecessary. You see, I thought that black belt of yours was a promising one. A bright seed among you lot, but the outcome was just pathetic. He waved his hand in pity. Sorry, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Perhaps people born to common families are just different from us. Then Sebastian turned away, taunting, I don't want a repeat of that. The atmosphere was shattered by Thunder's sudden shout. Still haven't given up, wait. Eric stepped in front of him. Sebastian, a guy like this isn't worthy of a duel with you, but I don't mind. He held up his watch. I'm currently ranked 9th. If you can defeat me, maybe then others will be interested in your challenge. Eric gave Sebastian a quick, meaningful look. Right, boss? He smirked. Suit yourself. Thunder pointed at Eric. If I beat this guy, will you accept my challenge? He was taken aback. This guy, Sebastian replied. Beat him first, then we'll see. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Wow, another match. Following a strong team was the right move. Yeah, I get to see a challenger fight right away. I hope this fight lasts a bit longer. Thunder clenched his fists. Then I have nothing more to say. Let's do this. Eric drew his sword. How arrogant. Don't come crying to me later. Or find someone else to avenge you. Someone wondered, huh? Why hasn't the redhead drawn his sword? Eric immediately charged, thinking, this is a great chance to use the move Sebastian taught me. Sebastian crossed his arms, looking amused. That Eric always bullying the new kids. A flash of steel appeared as Eric swung his cold blade straight at Thunder. Die! With a slight tilt of his body, he narrowly avoided the attack. Eric couldn't believe it, his face a mask of shock. What? How could he have possibly dodged that? Eric roared, refusing to back down, and charged again with his sword. This isn't over. Despite his relentless attacks, Eric couldn't land a single hit on Thunder. Every strike was dodged with ease. Let's see you dodge this, damn it. He began to panic. That was my fastest strike. How are you still able to dodge that? Thunder lunged forward. Before Eric could react, Thunder's fist slammed into his face. His body flew back several meters before crashing to the ground. Eric lay stunned, his face bruised, his eyes filled with disbelief. How is this possible? Thunder pointed to Eric on the ground. Sebastian, am I qualified to challenge you now? The crowd shouted in alarm. Eric, I think he fainted. Quick, get him to the infirmary. Sebastian crossed his arms indifferently. What's in it for me to defeat you? You put up 2 sparkling stones, and if you win, these 2 mid-tier monster crystals are yours, he stammered and yelled. Where did you get mid-tier monster crystals from? I don't want to get into trouble by taking things of unknown origin, you answered calmly. My parents were adventurers. This is what they left for me. Thunder put his hands in his pockets. What about it? While I still haven't formed a weapon, you still have a chance to get them. Sebastian pointed at him, all right. I accept your challenge, but I have one condition. He laughed, his eyes flashing with a terrifying excitement. This match must be held in public. I don't want people thinking I stole these mid-tier monster crystals from you later. Thunder replied emotionlessly in an icy tone, suits me just fine. A sea of people filled the large arena. The noisy chatter echoed. Oh, Hez here, Sebastian is the best beat, the red-haired freak, it's about to start. Kaol, walking beside you, kept trying to talk you out of it. Do you really want to fight that guy? I heard he's ranked 2nd, if that's true. I don't think this is a good idea, he continued to warn, even if you want to go all in on one big bet. But that guy is someone who won't hold back. Thunder reassured Kaol, don't worry, just go open your betting pool. Just do as I say, he said helplessly. All right, then. I can't stop you anyway. The two of them bumped fists, he said with a laugh. Promise me you'll at least give him a bloody nose, Thunder replied with a firm voice. Definitely scene change, Kaol holding a wooden box. Place your bets, place your bets. Black-backed Knight of Thunder versus White-backed Knight Sebastian. Who will defeat whom? Let's wait and see this exciting match unfold. Tan couldn't hide his anxiety. Hey, I'm telling you. How long do you guys think Thunder can last? Ian hesitated, his voice filled with worry. I hope Thunder doesn't get hurt. Slavia clearly disagreed with this. I don't think so, she said loudly. Oh, love really makes people blind. The timid girl shrieked. What are you talking about? How could I possibly like that guy, Thunder? That's not the point. Slavia frantically yelled, if you can't see Thunder's strengths, then you must be blind. Tan kept teasing about love while Kaol anxiously thought to himself rather than worrying about whether Thunder can win. I'm more worried about what the Black Knight's reaction to this match will be. Sebastian's voice rang out, filled with smugness like a challenge. The son of a knight becomes a knight. The son of a commoner becomes a commoner. This is a line that can never be crossed. He caressed his sword while taunting Thunder with a pun. I know defeating Eric gave you some confidence. But through this match, I will make you understand the difference between us, the referee announced. Both sides, please take your positions, you replied coldly. Save that lecture for your little brothers. Sebastian's sword was raised high as he stood in a ready stance. Everyone in the stands watched the arena with worried eyes. You wrapped 2 cloths tightly around your face, leaving only your sharp eyes exposed. The referee's shout echoed. The match begins. Sebastian immediately lunged forward. Seeing this, Kaol held his breath and shouted your name above the noise. Thunder, Thunder, you dodged his attack in a cloud of dust. Sebastian sneered, oh, you're pretty lucky. Almost no one can dodge my first attack. Thunder replied with contempt, and your luck is nothing to brag about. In the blink of an eye, a scratch appeared on his face like a knife slicing through the air, huh? Sebastian wiped the cut on his cheek. The wound is too shallow if this is the extent of your attack. Then you'll never be able to win. Thunder's taunt made him freeze. Why are you so talkative? Have you always won your fights with that mouth of yours immediately? Sebastian rushed forward like a fierce gust of wind. All right, your luck ends here. Thunder gracefully dodged, slipping past the attack with ease and agility. You quickly landed a powerful blow that grazed his cheek and shoulder. Tan's eyes widened. Did that Thunder guy just attack? Why does it look like Sebastian was the one who got hurt first? Ian didn't know how to explain it either. I don't know, I couldn't see clearly either. Kyle wondered to himself. Thunder, how in the world did you learn that? The moves you just used to dodge Sebastian's attack, he couldn't help but exclaim inwardly, are exactly like those of a knight captain. Sebastian gathered all the magic in his body. Very good. Next up, let's see if you can dodge this next attack. The crowd in the stands immediately stirred. Look, the aura is gathering on his sword. This is a real eye-opener. Sebastian rushed forward like a whirlwind, surrounded by brilliant green magic. Take this. Then Thunder turned like the wind and skillfully dodged to the side. He sneered, a look of excitement on his face. I knew you'd do that, so next. You stood frozen, your eyes showing a hint of worry, watching the stream of green magic head towards you. Sebastian gripped his sword and lunged forward, covered in a dense layer of green magic. You dodged that one, too. The crowd below started cheering wildly. Wow, Sebastian is furious now. Go show that redhead who's boss. Go, Sebastian. You're my god, so cool. Tan said worriedly. This is not good, Thunder. He just keeps dodging like that. Sooner or later, he's going to get hit. Ian also called out your name worriedly. Thunder, he said indignantly. Sebastian, that bastard is too ruthless. Kyle tried to reassure them, don't worry. I think Thunder will be fine. Tan asked, what do you mean? Slavia looked down and replied, think again. The one who's really at a disadvantage is Sebastian. His legs were shaking as if they couldn't support his body anymore. Drops of blood began to fall from his battered body. His breathing was ragged. Sebastian collapsed to the ground as if all his strength had been drained. What? He was stunned and speechless. How can this be? Hasn't Thunder just been dodging this whole time? Kyle also wondered, but on the contrary, Thunder has actually been attacking all along. Tan yelled, since when? How did I not see it? Ko looked down every time Thunder dodged one of Sebastian's attacks. He would land at least one attack. He was constantly wearing down Sebastian's stamina. Until his opponent could no longer fight back, covered in wounds, he clutched his arm and screamed, You, my father, never even taught me to fight like that. I will kill you with ragged breath and fiery eyes. Sebastian gathered his last bit of strength and lunged forward in an all-out attack. Thunder swept past him like a thunderous wind. Thunder's attack was so fast, it seemed like time itself stopped for a beat. Tan was stunned. Is that really Thunder? How did he get so strong? Slavia turned to Kyle and asked Kyle. Thunder clearly had a chance for a one-hit knockout to decide the match. He replied softly, but why? I think Thunder is doing it on purpose. She paused on purpose. You're like a dragon toying with Sebastian, like a wild beast hunting its prey. Thunder wants to torture his opponent, bit by bit, covered in injuries and scars. He started to wail. My face, you filthy commoner! How dare you! Ko realized he wanted to get revenge for Man. The cold steel of the sword swept across the bridge of Sebastian's nose. He clutched his nose, trembling. My nose, you just wait. Don't run. If you have any guts, my father will not let you get away with this. In a fit of pure rage, Sebastian screamed as if to tear the sky apart. You're a dead man. Thunder raised his sword, preparing the finishing blow. For someone like you, any more words would be a waste. He trembled and raised his hand to surrender, his voice choked with pleas. Wait, I give up. Your fist slammed into Sebastian's cheek like a blazing fire, leaving an unforgettable mark. Then Thunder unleashed a barrage of blows. Don't dream of me letting you surrender so easily. I want you to pay back what you owe, man, twofold. Slavia watched this and said worriedly, if this keeps up, it's not going to end well. Ko agreed that's right if he keeps this up. From the stands, a voice suddenly yelled out into the silence, stop. Munch, covered in casts and on crutches, appeared to intervene. Stop it, Thunder. Please. Thunder turned around Munch. He wondered why Munch wanted him to stop. Sebastian knelt down. I forfeit. The referee announced the match is over. Thunder Taylor is the winner. His followers rushed over Sebastian. Are you all right? Thunder took off like the wind, while Ko hurriedly chased after him, calling his name in worry. Thunder, the people around, anxiously checked on Sebastian. Let's get to the infirmary first, yeah. Stitch up the wounds first. He flew into a rage from the utter humiliation. Get out, all of you! His rage was so intense it made his body tremble violently. Thunder Taylor, just you wait.